Hello and welcome everybody to All the Rage Sports. We are back again for week 2 of the NFL season. We are really excited after week 1. There were a lot of cool storylines that we have out there, so we're ready to talk about everything. Um, with me, as always, is the calling for Aiden Connell, Chase Junk, avid fan of the Raiders, super Gardner Minshew fan. Also, the
Fuck you.
our very own Jesse Smith, Saquon Barkley runs our team now, and Carly, who's not there, there she
Going
is,
in here.
and our very own kicker wins her fantasy games, Carly Baden
Okay, all
over
right,
here.
hang on.
She's not with us, but with us. But all right.
All right, she ain't
So
with
Well,
us.
she
that
will
she's
be
really not
right
with us.
back. So I'm going to start off today's episode. We're going to just go through our week 1 matchups and what our results were and what happened in those games. Then we're going to kind of break down our games. Then we'll dig into week 2, some fantasy talk, and then I always will end with some of our bets going forward for week 2. So starting off Thursday night, we had the Ravens at the Chiefs. Ravens just lost by a toe, literal toe, of Isaiah Likely in the back of the end zone. So Chiefs do start off the season 1-0. A amazing game. I think the best game of the week. Eagles and Packers on Friday night in Brazil. Despite the horrible field conditions, Saquon Barkley goes for 3 touchdowns, leading the Eagles to a victory there. Jordan Love also getting hurt on like the final 2 plays of the game. Could be out 4 to 6 weeks, but we will touch on that. Steelers going into Atlanta, having 0 offense, but kicking 6 field goals, 3 of which were over 50 yards, and coming out with a strong defensive effort, only allowing, I think, 54 yards in the second half, winning that game 18-10. Cardinals and Bills. Bills just getting willed to the win by Josh Allen, and Kyler Murray not being able to find his open receiver because of that. Once again, that is not his job. So we will touch on that as well. Bears winning despite their rookie quarterback not doing anything for them. It was all punt block, interception return, couple field goals, and I believe a 2-point conversion, all leading them to victory there. The Patriots stunning the Bengals of a possibly still injured Joe Burrow, which we'll touch on that a little later as well. Another thriller. This probably would be the only other game I would say is probably the top game for the week. The Texans and Colts, despite the Colts going down and scoring late, were unable to close out the game with the Texans holding onto the ball at the end. The Dolphins and Jaguars going down to a long field goal for the Dolphins to win that 20-17 after Tyreek Hill's arrest prior to the game. Saints absolutely destroying the abysmal Carolina Panthers, where you can get 2 tickets to their game for $1.80 right now, I believe. So absolutely destroying the Panthers. The Panthers are in a black hole of death right now. Speaking of black hole of death, the Sam Darnold led Vikings take on the Giants and beat them 28-6. Giants are about the only other team right now competing with the Panthers for worst in the NFL right now. Jim Harbaugh's Chargers do take over the Raiders. Honestly, there's a lot to talk about on that game, but I think the biggest one is rookie right tackle being able to actually shut down Max Crosby was pretty impressive for his first game. Seahawks taking the win over the Broncos with Bo Nix starting for the first time. We have a lot to talk about on him, but the Seahawks take that 26-20. Cowboys going into Cleveland, destroying the Browns. We'll talk about, are the Cowboys still good, or is it the Browns were just that bad? 33-17 over there. Baker Mayfield leading the Bucks to a win over the Washington Commanders, 37-20. A couple touchdowns to Mike Evans. Baker has some really good chemistry with him going. Overtime thriller with the Lions over the Rams. This was probably the 3rd best game of the week, I would say, just because of the overtime thriller. And I love watching the Lions this season so far. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. But Goff leads him down the field, and I believe Montgomery puts it in at the end. And then Niners and the Jets. Niners, no CMC, come out and still manage to beat the Jets with a fresh, new, maybe still high Aaron Rodgers. There's lots of stuff to talk about on the future of the Jets. So that was week one. Let's just start right off the top again. Let's just start right after the Thursday game. I think the biggest story in this game was a lot of the penalties that were being called, and then the NFL trying to put teams on notice that they're going to call these. Because I don't know if you know the stat, Carly, but there was a record number of calls for the was it
Illegal formation.
illegal formation? Thank you. And
There
it was
were
mainly
22.
22. So yeah, that was record for any week ever being called. And it was mainly the tackle lining up too far back.
There was a
or the
lot
tight end.
on special teams too. I
Yes,
noticed that
with the
there was
dynamic
there was a
kickoff.
handful of special teams.
There was some people getting used to that call. So go back. Isaiah Likely barely by a toe misses that touchdown at the end of the game to possibly lead it to either a field goal to tie it up, or John Harbaugh was going to go for two and try to win the thing.
Oh, here we
What
go.
do you guys have feels?
On the penalties for illegal formation.
Yeah.
There were 22. 7 of them were on kickoffs or punts. So there were 15 called on offensive players, 5 of which were called on Baltimore.
And I believe every
And
one
it felt
of
like
them
the
was
same
Ronnie
drive.
Stanley.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Great.
Yeah, I believe every one of them was on Ronnie Stanley. I think the first drive had 3 of them, I want to say. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
2 or 3.
so it's obvious that, they're pointing it out, but then we look at Juwan Taylor, and he's got half of his body behind the guard every single play, his foot, he's turned to the side essentially with how far
He
back
literally false starts every
and
play.
he jumps every single play, but none of those got called. So there were a lot of things in that game that all the conspiracy theorists want to say, like, oh, it's scripted. It's hard to argue with some of the shit that happened in the game. Steve Spagnuolo running down the field to call timeout when he's not allowed to, and they just did it. The ref just sees him out of his corner of his eye and goes, oh, yeah, okay. Not allowed to do that. Them not calling the constant false starts on them. Jace, I kind of want to get your input on this because I know you're an avid Chiefs hater. And I kind of want to hear it.
No, I mean, it's the same bullshit that, we watched the Patriots for how many years? Every sports league does have sort of a vested interest to protect, the franchises and the star players and stuff like that. But it does get a little fucking ridiculous at this point. Like, you could argue like other stuff, but yeah, like Ronnie Stanley getting nailed like 2 or 3 times on the opening drive versus Juwan Taylor, if you remember the Thursday night game last year that the Chiefs opened up with. I think he was actually, if you look at the all 22 and put it side by side, he was probably actually further back into the fucking backfield last year, and nothing was done about it. But he's still egregiously doing it every fucking game. And it's really like, what do you expect? But if I'm the Chiefs, I would be a little bit concerned. I know we talked about they're probably not going to use Kelsey a ton. He's getting a little bit older. I think he had 3 catches, 38 yards, something like that.
He was blocking mainly in that game, though.
Yeah.
What they were talking about.
Same thing Mark Andrews was blocking. That's why he didn't get your over on fucking receptions. And that's why my Lamar bet almost cashed, because you suck. But anyhow. No, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm a little bit concerned because the Ravens did not play a very good game. Lamar was running for his life because that offensive line does not look good at all. And they came about that far, literally about a 16th of an inch from losing that game, possibly. So
yeah, it was It was pretty bad there. Like, and I think the biggest thing you can see is like, yeah, there's a lot of bad things that happened, but they were right in it. There's a lot of bad calls on things, but they were still right in it. And Lamar Jackson missed a wide open Zay Flowers in the back of the end zone. You could say, hey, maybe if that was a veteran receiver, he'd stop and sit in that pocket. Maybe if you had a two-time MVP quarterback, he could see that and throw it to the guy. I don't know. I don't know what kind of argument you want to make in that sense, but I will never be convinced that Lamar Jackson will be a good passing quarterback. Jesse, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I feel like my biggest takeaway from that game was I'm more concerned with the Ravens than I am the Chiefs, honestly. Because if they don't get that offensive line fixed, they're not going to do anything. Like, Derrick Henry did not look good. He looked every bit his age 30, honestly. And I kind of what I feared was the second they get behind, he's going to be completely out of the game, irrelevant. That's why Justice Hill was out there catching balls, because he's not a threat to catch the football. He's just out there when they have a lead, and they're too predictable. Like, if they don't fix it, I mean, I get they were put in a bad position because their offensive line coach just died out of nowhere.
Right.
But
Which
I don't know. I mean,
I guess
one.
that is
Rest
fair.
in
I
peace.
forgot that
Yeah,
their offensive
no,
line
yeah,
coach
exactly.
literally
Yeah.
did just die.
That is a very big detail.
Thoughts and
But
prayers
I
to
mean,
his
it's-
family and everybody.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a pretty crazy sudden thing to have happen.
Yeah, and for all of that, of what I just said, the Ravens still could have easily have won the game. Like, if Lamar Jackson just makes one of those two throws, they're probably going to win, because I think they would have converted the 2-point conversion. I was screaming at my
would
TV.
agree.
I'm like, yeah, please go for two, because if you go to overtime, you're going to lose, and you know you're going to lose.
Yep.
Like, they were right there. They could have easily won the game, and we'd be having a complete different discussion about the Chiefs, but it was more so just on the Ravens.
One
Talking
thing
about
with that
Derrick
end-
Henry too. Go on, Gar.
No, I was just saying at the end, Pat Mahomes in a post-game interview basically told the guy, wear white cleats, wear white shoes next time,
Yeah.
because he's wearing black shoes, and and Pat Mahomes after the game, he's like, I don't know, like the best thing I can say is to wear white shoes. I don't know what you're doing.
Did anybody else see that TikTok? It's a guy out in front, I think in a Burrow jersey, playing a ukulele, and there's like a Jags fan, a Raider fan, a Steeler fan. There's probably like 12 people behind him, and they're just sitting there saying, anybody but the Chiefs.
I did not, but I wish I did see it.
I'll have to try and find it. I'll send it to you guys. Everybody is united. Just fuck the Chiefs.
Well,
And
that's
here
the
we go
thing.
again.
Like, I get that it's great for sports to have a dynasty and all this stuff, but
Is it? I don't know.
I don't feel like it is anymore. I feel like everybody loves the underdog story, you know, the newcomer on the block, the somebody that comes in and beats the David and Goliath type of storyline. Like, that's what sells. So if you get these, like, how many years did we get of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and it was just so annoying to the point like I didn't want to watch it. I didn't care because we knew what the outcome was going to be. Oh, great. Tom gets another one. I don't care.
But it united everybody against the Patriots.
Remember that those 2 years that even the Eagles fan there can admit everybody in America outside of Massachusetts were Giants fans.
Yep.
Like,
I was rooting for the Giants. Yeah.
Probably one of the times I've screamed at my TV the loudest and been like cheering was the David Tyree helmet catch. Just going, oh my God, they got him. Eli's down, and he just goes back and just goes, fuck it. I'm going to eat this thing.
I don't even want to tell you how drunk I was for that game.
Oh,
it was
all
mid-college.
of America was. It was like when Prohibition ended. It was just like, oh my God, it's over. Like, oh.
Yeah, it was a pretty phenomenal game to watch. It's really great to see them fall. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know if we can say this early that the Chiefs can three-peat, but they definitely have a chance to get there. They're going to be a playoff team, obviously, barring like a catastrophic injury to Patrick Mahomes or something. But like, I think that their weapons are better than they have been over the last year or so. Just seeing how Worthy was able to take his first touch to the house, then gets another touchdown. Like, I don't know what his route running is, how he's going to, be on contested balls, but I don't think it matters because they're going to scheme him open, and he's got the speed to blow any roof off. So I think now with the Rice being in his second year, Worthy coming in, I fear that Patrick Mahomes has the best weapons he's had since Tyreek Hill. So, yeah, they could probably three-peat, but I hope to God they don't.
I still wouldn't bet on it. But
Let's move.
Yeah,
The other thing I want to add about the Ravens, though, is I feel like the Ravens don't know how to use Derrick Henry properly yet. And maybe it's something that will come, but Lamar Jackson's not an under center type of quarterback. They have Picard and Derrick Henry. Did I say it wrong? Patrick Ricard.
Ricard.
That's hard. Oh my God.
I made it Picard.
You
Patrick
literally-
Ricard
you're-
and
you're-
Derrick Henry. And they're not lining up in I formation, strong formation, weak formation. They're not doing, under the center kind of downhill running that Derrick Henry's good at, because Lamar Jackson is not good at that.
He's not an under center cornerback.
I don't know
yeah.
if they're going to ever utilize him properly.
Now you said Picard, all I can think
You're
about
muted
is
there, buddy.
Sir Patrick Stewart. Sir Patrick Stewart from Star Trek in the
Jack's
backfield.
muted.
That's
I
what
can't hear
that
you.
came
Maybe
from.
it's my.
Yeah,
I can
I'm not-
hear him.
Nope, it's my
Yeah,
thing.
we can all hear.
And also, speaking of things
Apologize,
that are
I
going
couldn't
to
hear you
come,
guys.
Chris Collinsworth watching Patrick.
Tom Brady all over again. With Collinsworth, that is.
It's fucking.
Sickening.
Yeah.
I think we can
Oh,
all agree that
yeah.
Chris Collinsworth makes us all want to die when we hear him speak.
Yeah.
There we go. For some reason, my Bluetooth decided to shut off on my computer, so now I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you fucking yelling at me that I'm muted?
I just randomly stopped because my computer is such a great work of art.
But before we move on from this game, did you guys all know that Steve Spagnuolo couldn't call timeout? I actually didn't. I didn't think it mattered who called timeout. Honestly,
I didn't either until this game.
I didn't know.
When the announcers are like, he can't do that. Like, he's not. No one is allowed to.
I don't know
the coach.
why though. Like,
I don't
why?
either.
Why does it matter?
I don't understand why it matters at all. I'm pretty sure any player can call timeout. I mean,
Right.
the quarterback obviously can. Someone on defense obviously can.
Right.
Is it,
Yeah, I'm
is
not
it
sure
strictly
why.
the guy wearing the green dot? I don't know. I'd have
I
to look
think it
further
is.
into it.
Yeah.
But
I think it is the
even
guy
that, it
with the
just
green dot.
doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really feel like that's such a big deal, but whatever.
I guess it's one of those things so
Well,
that, like, if someone's going to call a timeout, the officials know who to look at or who to be watching for that,
Maybe.
as opposed to, like, the entire team being able to just be like, and then, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
It's
narrows
More
down
often than
their,
not, it comes from the
field.
sideline, though.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like,
Any other
it
team
shouldn't matter
doing
which
it?
coach.
any other team does this, it's probably a non-issue there, except for the other team that lost that night. But because, and we can agree, it is kind of a dumb rule. But because the Chiefs fucking did anything, it's like DiCaprio pointing at the TV, like, hey.
Hey, yeah, there they go again.
Yeah, look, they're fucking cheating.
Okay, let's move on to the Packers and Eagles game. Like I said, I think, in my opinion, this was probably the best game of the week. And of course, we got it on Friday. Saquon going for 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love getting hurt. We all thought it may have been like season ending, and ended up them saying it's just a sprain, 4 to 6 weeks. I think that's insane, insanely lucky, I guess. What do you see from this game that you liked from the Eagles side? I'll start with you, Jesse, because obviously you watched every snap and scrutinized everything. So I want to hear what you got to say about it.
Well, I mean, let's just set Saquon aside. The 2 interceptions that Jalen Hurts threw about killed me.
The
Like, I
game
have
started
literally-
really bad for the
Yeah,
Eagles.
it was so.
Like,
But no, I was ready to just off myself pretty much right off the bat because everyone's first Saquon slips immediately on his first handoff, -5 yards, and then they're already backed up to their end zone, and then Jalen's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking throw up this atrocious ball over the middle, immediately intercepted. Like, the only reason we got away with winning that game is because our defense held them to field goals after turnovers.
yeah,
before the game
insane
became like
that
a
they
track
only
meet.
let 6 points out of those 2 turnovers.
Literally, that's why they won. It's not that they played much defense after those 2
Right.
turnovers, but No, it was a very stressful game, but I just can't believe how good Saquon. I mean, I'm not surprised because now that he's not on the Giants and actually behind a functioning offensive line and around good skill position players.
Yeah, you know.
But like the opposing team's not going into the game saying we got to stop Saquon because they're too worried about everybody else. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he looked really great, but at the same time, watching it was just like, holy shit, he actually just looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like that catch in the end zone, I literally like, what the fuck? Most running backs aren't making that catch. Like that was beautiful.
Imagine what Saquon's career would have been like had he
my
had
God.
somebody around him.
I think we'd be having a complete different discussion about him, honestly. Like, I feel like he would be. I mean, I don't want to say that he's Christian McCaffrey because he's like no one really is. But if you had to put a guy that's as close to McCaffrey, I feel like it would be him. Yeah. And if he would have been on like the Eagles his entire career, I feel like that would not be a hot take whatsoever.
Absolutely insane what his career could have been if he was on any other team.
Yeah.
So, greatest signing of the offseason, I think.
So far, yeah. It's got to pray stays healthy. But other than that, my takeaway, the field, I just couldn't believe how atrocious that field was. Like, everybody, like on both teams, just falling left and right. Like, that game could have got out of hand for the Eagles just from the Packers, like, dropping catches because the receivers just slipped on routes. Right. They're wide open. I'm like, fuck, thank God he slipped because he probably would have been a fucking touchdown. I'm just glad to get out of there with the win because it's just
no one got killed by gang violence.
And no one got killed. Well, yeah, that exactly. But yeah, week one.
ACL survived.
It's a miracle.
I'm sure somebody got killed by a gang that night, but it wasn't
a player.
Yes, somebody was definitely dead after that, but
for sure. And then honestly, I'm just stunned that Jordan Love got away with not suffering a serious injury. When I saw that, I'm like, he's done.
Like, so I actually think I want to talk about that next because the impact that's going to have on the Packers, because it obviously the biggest question mark with the Packers is who's going to be their leading receiver, and I think it kind of showed just from that game that Reed is kind of going to be the guy. I think Christian Watson's like falling off. And who was I think it wasn't Wicks. Dobbs. It was like Dobbs and Reed seem to be the 1 and 2 right now. And Dobbs kind of was in the previous year, but then he kind of alternated here and there with Watson. I just think Watson's just so drop happy. Like you said, Jace, like he started getting those drops at the end of last season, came into this game, had a little bit of that as well. So I don't see that getting fixed. Now, do you think the Packers are going to go out and this is so ironic. Do you think they're going to go sign Ryan Tannehill and make Malik Willis sit behind Ryan Tannehill again?
They should.
They probably should, but I do not think that they will.
I don't think they
it's will already either. Too late. I don't
think there's any reason to talk about the Packers for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
No, they're going to be around. They're lucky they win a game. Like, we've seen Malik Willis play. Good luck.
If they could find a way to win 2 of the next 5.
Their schedule's not that tough, but I don't know, man.
The man couldn't even figure out how to throw the Hail Mary on the last play.
Yeah, literally. He just gets sacked.
He got sacked.
Like, bro, you got to throw
on
the
a
ball.
Hail Mary. Just throw it up, bro.
Yeah, it's a wonder how he got the compensation that he did for that trade. Wasn't it like a 4th or something like that? Or maybe it was a swap of 6ths or something like that. But it wasn't a good compensation. It was a please get rid of this guy. So yeah, I mean, the Packers are going to be interesting over the next few weeks. It's hard to be able to say that you would want to pick them because all those receivers I felt like were made good because of Love's play. Similar to what Aaron Rodgers did, not really having a star until Devontae. I mean, I guess he had Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams at one point in time, but then later on his career. I'm sorry, Alan Lazard is not a... Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard are not all-star wide receivers without Aaron Rodgers.
A little fucking respect on Greg Jennings' name.
All right, Greg Jennings, you're not wrong.
I think Donald Driver was already...
I was about to say Donald Driver, but...
That was very early. I think that was like the very end of Donald Driver's career.
Yeah, I feel like, the first year that Rodgers got a full starting year was like Donald Driver's last full year.
Yeah. So, I mean, he had his share of them, But like after that, after Adams left, it was the whoever show. And then we're gonna sign all these fourth, fifth round picks and go. And he made them look good. And Love was kind of doing the similar thing. So, yeah, I think the Packers are in for a rough start to the season. If and when Love comes back, they're going to have a lot of holes to dig out of. Let's move over to the Steelers and Falcons game. I mean, the way I looked at this game, yeah, Fields got the start, Fields got the win. I don't think Fields did anything spectacular by any means. He kind of did the Tomlin-esque type of just go out there and don't lose the game. Let the defense do their thing. Let TJ Watt absolutely wreck the game. Should have had 2 strip sacks in that game, but of course a horrible offsides call on him wiped one away and then led to, I think, the Falcons' only touchdown that game. The very next play, I believe. But like, the Steelers defense showed up. They always show up really well early in the season, so I'm kind of curious to see how long they'll be able to sustain it and, barring injuries, and make sure that we can continue that trend of being that elite dominant defense. But I think moving on with Fields is the right choice now, and I'm kind of curious of what you guys think. And I'll give my reasons after I hear your reasons, but I think him moving forward is the proper choice if they want to win the most games this season. So, Carly, I want to start with you on that one. How do you feel?
Yeah, I just
Is
think
it a
we
good
stick
idea?
with. I think we just stick with Justin Fields. I don't see any reason to. Why would you force Russ in when we're literally paying them like the same $1 million each? They're being paid the same. There's literally no reason whatsoever to have any loyalty to Russell Wilson. I think Justin Fields did just fine. I think once he settles in a little bit, he'll start even looking decent.
You got to
I-
think he didn't get any reps that week
Yeah, literally.
until
Like this was just him coming
Thursday, Friday.
in. Right. This is him coming in, and I mean, he also, you think, you look at his stats and they are what they are, but he had what, a massive touchdown pass to Pickens that got called back
Mm-hmm.
on an OPI that was completely ridiculous, or not, maybe it wasn't a
It wasn't a
pass, it was
touchdown, but it was getting
45,
us in the red
50
zone.
yards. Yeah. And he had that called back. There was Pickens the one time when he was called down by contact and wasn't touched and ran
that
for
was
another
another
20
one.
yards. That got taken off the board. Like, you think, like, those 2 passes don't go because of the officials, which I think were the actual problem in this game, personally.
Yeah.
I think the officiating in that game was god awful. But we managed to somehow win it anyway. But if you put those 2 passes back on the board, Justin Fields has probably like top 8 quarterback in yards.
Yeah, he
just
would have been
from
over
those
250
over
yards.
with how
just
terrible
by
everybody else
one of
did this
those,
week.
actually.
So it's, I don't know. I think he's fine. I don't see any reason to not continue playing with him. And he also is smart enough now, this deep into it, that he knows when to take the run. He knows he did that well. I feel like he wasn't just bailing. He
Yeah.
was waiting, having some patience, and running when he felt like the lane was clear.
From your guys' outside of fans' perspective, what would you guys say to the logic of starting Justin Fields for the rest of the season? I'll start, Jesse. We can go ahead and start off.
I mean, it makes the most sense to keep Justin Fields in solely because we know what Russell Wilson is at this point, and Justin Fields obviously has significantly more upside considering he's younger and has been on a terrible organization his entire career so far.
Right.
So it makes sense from that perspective. I do kind of wonder though, once Russ is fully healthy, if they're not going to stuff him back out there. Wasn't he voted a team captain if I remember correctly?
So is Trubisky the year that he started.
Was he?
games.
I was gonna say because that's voted on by the players, so it makes you feel like Russell Wilson has some respect from the other players in the locker room, and that means more than you think it does. And if Justin Fields doesn't produce a touchdown against the Broncos, and then Russell Wilson is healthy, by week 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to them. It's not what I would do, but I wouldn't be surprised because, they need results. And you can't win games by kicking only field goals.
Yeah,
That's
that
100%.
is facts.
Luckily, you ran into Kirk Cousins, who can't move. So,
Yeah, and
like
that's
he,
another thing we'll talk about here after this. Is Kirk Cousins does not look fully 100%.
no.
There was a video I watched where they were comparing his stance, and typically
Kirk Cousins?
yes, so comparing his stance from previous years in Minnesota all the way back to when he was in Washington, always had 1 foot back, ready to go right into the drop back. That of course was his plant foot, his Achilles, where his Achilles injury was always this foot back. They showed every single one he's straight up, not being able to jump, get that extra like right off the bat. He was not able to get the good follow through with that, getting weight off of it. He was throwing very flat footed. So there's a lot of people saying like, yeah, he is nowhere close to shouldn't be out there yet. Like he's not healthy right now. So that's a pretty interesting one. I'm kind of curious to see if he loses week 2, week 3, still isn't looking good. Do you think they're going to be calling for Penix?
I do, because if you check their schedule, they play at the Eagles and at the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're going to be 0-3. So.
Yeah, they're going to start out the season 0-3, and I think it's going to be like, hey, I get we paid Cousins all this money, but we have zero loyalty to him. Let's get the guy we drafted.
Yeah,
I was going to say all that money
is a lot of
I
loyalty.
believe $100 million guaranteed, which is a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, they have a good way to get out of it after year 2, though.
I have no idea.
I'm not 100% on that, but I feel like I heard somebody talking about how they have the ability to kind of void and not lose as much after year 2. But I could be mistaken on that. I could be thinking of a different one. But yeah, I mean, how do you not if the other guy's going to play better? This is supposed to be a big revamped team, and they did not look good.
Yeah, but in his defense, he is coming off a major knee injury, and he's upper 30s. I don't know his age off the top of my head. Like, asking him to come back and look completely normal in week 1 probably wasn't realistic. No. But if that's the case,
it was week 8 that he got his Achilles, and Aaron Rodgers was 4 plays into the season, and he looked okay at the beginning in week 1. How Kirk Cousins came back like that, 10 months, 9 months removed from it. And you got to remember, too, didn't play in the preseason, had no reps and game speed with this team. So we could, hopefully see him get healthier and better as the days go on. But their offensive line is not good. They're not going to be able to protect him well. And they're just going to set him up for getting another injury at this point. So I add my 2 cents on Justin Fields. I think that it makes the most sense to go with him. Maybe not for his passing ability, maybe not for his decision making, but for the sheer threat of him being able to run. And that is going to make defenses back up or spy or open up the coverage a little bit more on Freiermuth or Pickens. The other big problem with the Steelers is they need a second receiver because there's nobody that showed themselves as a second receiver on that team. They're going to do it by committee, and I'm sorry, but Jefferson and Austin are not to that level of being able to get some attention off that defense. How Pickens got open a couple times is beyond me. That long crossing route from left to right, that was a great pass, great scheme. I have no idea how he got open because he is the only threat out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like with Justin Fields, it's like he's had his 3 deep passes were better than any Steelers quarterback has thrown in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
like just the 3 deep ones that he threw. And it's just like if we have more another wide receiver to open that up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean somebody that can travel over the middle or take some under coverage.
We did just pay Freiermuth, so the thing is that Fields has to throw to the middle of the field, but if you saw his passing chart, he just threw down the sidelines. But the reality is that Atlanta has a decent defense,
Yeah.
and they cover the middle of the field well. So
Right.
I'm not too worried about him only passing to the sidelines yet. It's hard to say with just like the defense he was playing.
But I think just the sheer threat of him being able to run on those third and shorts, if you can keep it to 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, you're going to have coverages that are going to have to spy on him. And if they don't, he's just going to get the first down with his legs. So, like, they have to respect that, which takes somebody out of coverage or somebody out of the box, which opens up other things. So I feel like just his presence and the threat of him running helps the Steelers do those long, sustaining drives that they're trying to do. So, not saying he's going to be good by any means, but I think he does give us the best option to win.
I think he'll be good. I think he'll be better than anything we've had in the since Big Ben.
That's not high.
Not a high bar, but
yeah, not a high bar.
I tell you, with the way our defense is playing, all you need is somebody who's half fucking competent back there.
Yeah, that's it.
I think it'll help if they commit to him, which will allow them to actually scheme around his skill set. Because I can't help but feel like maybe the game plan was probably still geared more towards Russell Wilson because they weren't sure who was starting right away. Like probably about halfway through the week. I don't know whenever Justin Fields was named the starter. I actually feel like it might not have been until like the weekend. Or at least that's when we had a clue.
Like Saturday, I think.
Saturday, yeah. So
I was going to say
if they game planned all week for Russell Wilson, who was not mobile at this point in his career, then I feel like committing to Justin Fields will allow them to open the playbook out a little bit more. They'll be able to scheme up more like design quarterback runs. The offense could look a lot different. I don't disagree about needing a second receiver pretty desperately, but there's only so much you can do about that at this point.
I'm actually going to call out one of my good friends, Matt Campbell, on this one because we had a conversation about this. Why not start Fields and start doing well mid-season when those teams have their injured quarterbacks? You trade Russell Wilson for a receiver. Don't think it'll ever happen, but man, that would be a really, really interesting storyline if that did happen. Because think about it, he's the perfect renter quarterback because he's getting paid $1 million. Some other team's paying him. You get him for a year. He's got experience. It makes sense if your star goes down.
I don't think I've ever seen like a prominent quarterback traded in the middle of the season that's going to like start for somebody. Like I can't think of an example off the top of my head. It's usually before the season starts.
Right.
So I don't know. Like there's a lot that goes into it when it comes to a quarterback. You don't just plug a quarterback in. It's not the same as a receiver or a running back. So I don't know. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I would too. But I think that's an interesting thing to think about on that end. All right, let's move on. Cardinals and Bills.
One last thing with that too. With the Steelers needing a receiver, you hate to say it, but Michael Thomas's suspension has been lifted, and he is a free agent still. No one has signed him. He's still sitting out there. I get he's made of glass, but how much would he even want? He's not even on a team. His suspension's over. He did the one game, so he's available now. Do you think someone picks him up? And do you think? I mean, we could, but would that be exciting? Absolutely not. But
I mean, I feel like
the free agents out there are light.
Yeah.
After Michael Thomas, there's Hunter Renfrow, which wouldn't be
Jace
too terrible.
Would have to answer some questions about him because I've been curious about Hunter Renfrow, honestly.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
I don't know why he's still unsigned. He must have been bad last year.
He was just misused last year. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, like I feel like he's had a good amount of success, so I don't really understand why he's still out there.
He had a 1,000-yard season 2 seasons.
Yeah, like why is this guy not on a team? It doesn't like there's got to be something there. Maybe an injury that we don't know about, but
he's pretty much the next one, and then it's Corey Davis, Julio Jones, Randall Cobb, Marquez Callaway, Chase Claypool.
You better bring him in there.
Thought he was on IR for the season.
He probably is, but he's still technically in the free agent list.
The only thing that's going to actually make a difference is if you actually trade for someone before the trade deadline. Like all these guys are on the street for a reason, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, Michael Thomas is the only one that is a little interesting because he served the suspension he technically had this year, and that's done.
And he's
So
definitely had talent in the past. It's just the sheer
he
of
probably
like,
wants a ridiculous amount of money. That's the
yeah,
problem, I'm
well,
sure.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know. I think he might just be cooked.
that kind of
That's true.
signing reminds me of the we signed Allen Robinson. We are going to get the Allen Robinson from his
Yeah.
rookie year. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, we're
No.
not.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be something. I mean, there are some guys out here
For sure.
on free agency that we should hopefully be
Consider.
looking at.
All right, let's move on to the Bills and Cardinals. This game was literally looked like it was completely out of hand. Like the Cardinals were going to take the Bills, and then Josh Allen just pulled the Greg Jennings and put the team on his back, and literally just willed this Bills team to a win on it. I believe he had 2 rushing touchdowns in that one. One that was pretty spectacular where he hurdled a guy and stretched the ball over the line, which was pretty great. But I mean, how sustainable is that? They need receivers. They don't have somebody that can actually beat man coverage, it seems. He definitely misses Stephon Diggs, I feel. But I don't know. How sustainable is it for the Bills? And the fact that Kyler Murray can't hit his wide open, early first round, Marvin Harrison's supposed to be at worst Calvin Johnson type of levels of domination, had 1 catch for 3 yards. So, and then what? The post game interview of Kyler Murray saying, "Oh yeah, that's not my job to find the open receiver."
Yeah, that's the offensive coordinator's job.
Yeah,
He tells me where to throw the ball.
he tells me, and then
In part, that's true, but he still has to read the defense and
Yeah.
you can go off your first read and find your second receiver. That's your job.
That I think kind of opened eyes to, wow, Kyler Murray is actually garbage. He's gonna be, he's pretty garbage right now. Not that we didn't know that before in a sense, but there's times where he looked good.
I think the thing with him is that it's and it's not even a saying anything about his size or anything, but it's he's mentally a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
It's so weird with him. When he's in post game interviews and stuff like that, anything he says, it just sounds like a very immature. He's not taking things very seriously. It's just very weird how he acts.
Yeah, I mean, he just wants to go home and play COD. That's it.
Oh, well, literally, and then you
Double
have
XP
shit like
weekend.
that. Yeah. Andy said in the chat to bring back Randall Cobb's shambling corpse.
I think he's probably still out there somewhere. Probably
He
could
is
still do
on
it.
free
Sure.
agency.
So yeah, I think this was a very interesting game. I hope that the connection between Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray does come to fruition at some point this season, because I drafted him in 2 of my leagues. But the Bills,
Don't make it about you.
don't make it about me. Don't make it about me. The Bills, I mean,
I will make it about the fact that you pronounce the word fruition without stumbling over it. Round of applause.
Yeah, well done. That's
I
a
do
good one.
surprise every now and then.
Very now and
Very now and then. I think this is kind of a flash in the pan for the Bills, because I think they're not going to be able to survive every game with Josh Allen doing this Herculean effort towards winning and dragging the team to the victory the way he did, because it's not sustainable at all.
I would agree, and I don't really understand how this guy holds up. He's doing this shit constantly. How does he never get injured? The shit. I get that he's just built. Well, yeah, knock on wood, but my God, I mean, he's a big guy, but surely you would think one of these times he's going to get hit the wrong way.
He tries to run over people with his throwing shoulder and gets flipped in the air. Reminds me kind of Cam Newton early.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
just
Cam
a much
Newton
better
early,
thrower.
just running over people, but then injuries caught up to Cam Newton eventually, and there will be the day that the Piper needs paid, or whatever the hell the saying is, for Josh Allen. It's gonna happen. So I don't know. But yeah, I think it's interesting to watch them this season because it's going to be just Josh Allen trying to make things happen when it's not meant to happen.
I honestly still kind of feel like they're probably still the best team in their division now after watching football this weekend. Like, I'm out on the Jets.
You're not wrong. That's
The
the
Patriots
thing.
winning is a
Like
joke.
I don't disagree with you on that at all because it does kind of feel that way.
Josh, he's going to do enough to like win them the division, but they're not going to get past anybody like the Chiefs in the playoffs, especially with the lack of weapons. So
yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's kind of just like the same story over and over again with the Bills. It's like, oh yeah, good regular season, and then they get to the playoffs, and that'll be it.
Yeah,
so
great going for you.
Good going.
To bed.
All right, let's move past the Bills there, and I lost my place here. Oh, the Bears and the Titans. I don't really know anything to describe this game besides just absolute horrible quarterback play on both sides of the ball. Will Levis's interception at the end of the game that just handed the game to the Bears was absolutely atrocious. Like, I cannot believe that he backhand threw that ball at the end of the game. The only reason the Bears won, obviously, was because of their defense, special teams, literally blocking a punt and returning it for a touchdown, taking interception for a touchdown. Like, that was absolutely horrible showing by him. And then the Titans just kind of giving the game away because Will Levis is kind of an idiot. So is what it is there. I don't know if you guys have anything to add, but I really don't have a lot to talk about in that game.
Yeah, the Bears have no business winning that game is what I think. But
yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Go ahead, Chase. Go ahead.
No, I just loved did you see they showed the shot of after Levis threw that ball, he literally just like sat there on his knees and watched the guy run by him.
Yeah, hands on his head, like yelling into the void. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and he didn't even throw it. He just like flicked it.
That picture of him immediately falling to his knees while the guy runs past him is, I keep seeing it's like the new meme now. Like people are like, oh, it's Monday again, and it's just down on the ground. Well,
but no, Caleb Williams. I mean, not a great debut. Kind of what I expected. I mean, too much hype. First game of the season, he looked nervous. Like if you watched him, like he looked nervous, which is surprising considering.
The problem is the way he was playing too. He was trying to play like he was, back at college. Like, I'm going to scramble in the pocket for 5 minutes and throw a deep ball down the field and complete it, and everybody's going to say how cool I am. No, you can't do that in the NFL. I'm sorry. Like,
you're going to get a reality check real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't score an offensive touchdown. I actually believe it was strictly defense and special teams.
Yeah, there was 3 field goals and 2 touchdowns that were both special teams and defense. I think they must have done a 2-point conversion. I don't remember. I think it was the last touchdown.
They did a 2-point conversion on one of the special
returns.
Teams.
Yeah.
Or the returns.
That way they, were up by 7, so they could, hold them off if they did score again. So yeah, I mean, they did accomplish that, I guess. That was the only thing they accomplished on that.
You also like how Velus Jones, when he booted that fucking kickoff, how it perfectly just skidded along the ground to literally like the Titans were just like running after it and they fell right on top of it.
Yep.
Like it didn't even look. It looked like your Madden game glitched.
Yeah.
Like the ball hit his foot and then it just never came off the ground again. It was just rolling.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Like the way that they handed them the game, and it's sad. Pollard looked pretty decent. Surprisingly enough, but that was kind of the only they gotta teach Will Levis how to play quarterback. Evidently,
would appear that way. I'm not surprised by the Pollard thing. Like now that he's a full year removed from his surgery, he looks explosive. He
always
looks like
seems that way too. I think the only person that we could say came back from that kind of an injury, Adrian Peterson, had one of those amazing seasons, and that's the only one. It's always year 2.
Yep, no question.
Patriots and the Bengals. This was hilarious that the Patriots beat the Bengals. Jamar Chase just kind of showing up prior to the game, going, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll play today." Even though I, have not done jack and or shit the entire off season. And then he declaring himself as a game time decision, not the injury report. He actually came out and just was like, "Yeah, I'll decide at game time." And then I'm seeing videos of Joe Burrow constantly working the wrist. Somebody showed at one point when he picked up his Gatorade bottle, picked it up by the top, and went like he couldn't pick it up with pressure, like from his wrist.
Yeah.
So there, I think I sent it to you guys at one point. It is like very interesting to see. It's a very rare injury, not something that typically occurs to quarterbacks. I think it's more of a baseball injury, if I'm not mistaken, or tennis or baseball.
Offensive linemen too, because they use their arms. Yeah,
that was the other one I heard. Offensive linemen a lot of times, but the fact that that happened to him on his throwing hand, and he did not look great in that game. Do you think that the Bengals window is closed and this is kind of it?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think so.
Before we begin, I would just like to pat myself on the back for being a genius. I put this game in my 5-leg parlay that I made on Sunday. And then the Dolphins fucked me because I took the -3.5 and they won.
Yeah.
I actually took the Patriots to beat the Bengals in my parlay.
Love it.
And I was cruising, and then I looked, and I'm like, oh no. I was praying at the end of that Miami game. I'm like, please miss that field goal. So just go to overtime. Nope.
Well, you really have ETN to thank since he fumbles at the goal line and it completely cost them the game, because then the Dolphins would have had to score a touchdown to win the game. But
yeah, I also had an Aaron
and
Jones.
to a miss Tyreek on a wide open pass too.
Wow,
I had Aaron Jones, who I got on a first touchdown score, and then I had Tyreek to be the first touchdown scorer in that game, and Tua fucking overthrows him, and he's got nobody around.
Yeah,
we're so bad.
How do you overthrow Tyreek? That's just like boggles my mind.
Hard.
I could see how that would get difficult. Like you probably get tired of constantly underthrowing the dudes. So you're like, fuck
just gun it.
How many
launching it?
That actually might be the first time he's ever been overthrown in his life.
So yeah, I don't expect a lot from this Patriots team. I think it was really interesting to see them win this game. Good for them. They're still going to be one of the bottom teams this year. But there's a lot of, good morale over there with Gerard Mayo and, them believing in Jacoby Brissett and them just like, having the no nonsense with like Judon and seeing like, bro, you're going to be that way, get out. Them kind of laying down the law like we are here to, build something back the way it was. We don't need that kind of shit right now. So, I mean, I like it. But I don't think this is going to be a team we're going to be talking about highly for maybe another year or two. But I think they're in the right direction.
I was about to say, I think in about 3 years, because they're not going to rush with May, and it seems very much like they're doing things the Patriot way, but with Mayo, it's like having Belichick, but he's more he's a disciplinarian, but it's not to the point where it's like a prison commandant. Like it's you can still be yourself and have some personality and have fun, but it's still the Patriot way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And they won this game the way they did with Brady. It was just do enough at quarterback and hope your defense helps you out and does enough for you. Yeah, about 2-3 more years we'll be dealing with them fucking again. Life goes on and everything's a flat circle.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So before we move on to the next game, I would like to suggest talking about the Panthers and Saints game because I'm currently looking at the Panthers posted a 9/11 memorial on Instagram. I don't know if anybody else saw this.
Oh, I did.
And they left the comments on. I'm just gonna read you a couple of comments. We have David Tepper is a bigger threat to this country than Osama bin Laden. We have Saddam Hussein would be a better defensive coordinator.
Jesus Christ.
I think this was my favorite. Sir, a second Saints wide receiver hit the end zone.
Jesus Christ. We shouldn't be laughing at this, but dear God.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is this is
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's so horrible.
Here's a well, this
I
was
feel
a good one.
awful.
We need to honestly have some respect for the victims of 9/11. I know someone who passed during this time, and with that being said, we have it worse than him and any other victim, to be honest.
Wow.
You're
These are good.
Why would they leave? Why would they think that's a good idea?
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
That's on. Do they not
I
understand
think
the
I think
internet?
the Sir, a second Saints wide receiver has hit the end zone. It
It's-
was probably the best one.
Dude, Saddam Hussein would be a better defensive coordinator.
Jesus.
It's yeah, these are pretty good. I just noticed this and I saw
Oh
this, so
my
I figured we could
God.
touch on that shit show of a game. Yeah, Andy said, "See you guys in hell."
Yeah. Oh my God,
That's
that's horrible. Now these are none of our views.
None
of our,
Yeah.
like-
absolutely not.
None of this corresponds with how we feel.
recognize
These are
humor.
just
No.
reading comments that are posted publicly online. These are not the views of All the Rage Sports.
No. And it really isn't even. It's one of those things where it's just you shouldn't laugh. It's so fucking.
Like,
Oh my.
guys, people on the
Oh,
internet are fucking ruthless.
Do
Oh,
not care.
that's-
Yep.
Oh my God, you get behind a
Wow.
computer screen and you just go, nah, this will be great. And you
Well,
write
the
down
thing
whatever you
is,
want.
like a lot of people, like we are unique in the way that the podcasting and the internet world. A lot of the world wasn't alive to witness that event. So
That's actually
that's-
kind of true. That's weird to think. Because I
It's-
remember
it's
where
something-
I was when it happened. Like, I remember exactly where I was.
yeah,
Same.
me too.
I was in 8th grade. I was in Spanish class. It was second or third period. I think it was second period. And I remember sitting there. We're talking about no bueno, por qué, whatever. And dude walks into our classroom. I don't know if you heard. Somebody ran a plane into the World Trade Center. And class stopped. And we were
Wow.
still back on pretty slow friggin' internet. Like, type in the webpage and
Yeah,
Wait-
dial up.
wait for it to
Yeah.
load. The page. And then they showed like a picture of it and we're like, wow, what an idiot. Why would they do that? Like who the fuck is such an idiot that they would not see the building, you know? Then the second one happened. Then we're like, oh shit, something's going down. Then the one like crashed into the Pentagon. And then one crashed in Pennsylvania there and like, oh fuck, something's happening. So I remember having like assemblies saying like if you feel you want to go home and feel safe, we completely agree with it. You can call your parents. It was a very weird. And then we're gonna read about it in history books. We kept talking about that. Like, we're gonna read about it in history book, and it is in every friggin' history book now. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting, like very weird dynamic for the. Emily wasn't born, I don't think.
I was in first grade.
No, Emily was born in 03, so
Yeah, so Emily wasn't born then. Yeah, you were in first grade. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, because the funny thing was after it happened, because Aunt Donna was teachers at Cooperstown. The teachers all left the rooms. Like they came around and got them, and they all went to the teachers' lab. And I remember walking in because peeked my head out, and I looked down the hallway, and like all other kids from other classrooms were like, "Where do we go? Like, what the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
I walk over, and I remember looking up and seeing on the TV. I didn't see the first plane hitting, but the hole in the
Yep.
And they walked over, and Aunt Donna's like, "Honey, like there's a problem. America's under attack." And I remember lobbying and being like, "Well, they're not going to crash a plane into somewhere in rural Pennsylvania." Like I was pissed that I couldn't go outside for recess. And then God rest their souls, but then Flight 93 happened in Shanksville, which could have very easily been Cooperstown or
Right.
anywhere like that. But yeah, definitely a weird time.
Yeah. So, thoughts and prayers with the victims and families and everybody that was involved on 9/11. Now that we got to that point, so uh, we'll finish with that Saints and Panthers game because there's not a lot to talk about besides Derek Carr. The Panthers made Derek Carr look like classic old Tom Brady like days. They made him look good. So we'll see how sustainable that is as well. Kind of touched on the Dolphins and Jags already. Dolphins had like a funky game. Feel like they're not all on the same page. Maybe Tyreek was a little banged up from his arrest.
I feel like that whole situation, him getting arrested, probably like really screwed with like the mindset of the whole team because it was both him and Calais Campbell like coming in there.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the body cam footage, but like Calais Campbell's like, dude, like what the hell? And he's like, give me your damn license, and he's like,
For what? You don't have to give your ID to anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
He doesn't have to give him his ID. He didn't do
Yeah.
anything.
yeah, exactly.
so
Don't
yeah,
do
it was pretty intense pre-game to that game.
I'll be right back.
Like I said about the Texans and Colts, I thought that was a phenomenal game of division rivals there. CJ Stroud looks really good. I was kind of worried he would have like this sophomore slump, but now he's a kid in a candy store right now with how many weapons they've given him. The fact that Stephon Diggs is like his third target right now is mind-boggling. So, Texans are going to be a force to reckon with. I kind of thought he would regress a little, but the fact
He
that
did get away with a couple of like dropped interceptions. Like there were two throws where like the Colts just flat out dropped it. Like the Colts could have won that game very easily. He's definitely fortunate to have gotten away with the stuff that he did.
Joe
But,
Mixon's resurgence, I think, is the best thing that's going to happen to him.
I find that very surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the biggest surprise I think of it because I kind of thought like, oh yeah, Mixon's probably washed. The Bengals ran him to death. Like I don't think he's going to be doing anything, and then he comes out and just like blows it up.
He very well may be like have lost a step with like you said with this offense. There's so many people that you have to watch out. So many weapons that it's almost like the opposite we were talking about Derrick Henry in Baltimore, where when he's in the game, put 8 people in the box and the run is most likely coming. But Mixon's sort of he's not the same runner that Henry is, but he's very much sort of a power back.
Yeah.
You put him in the game, and then you run, 3 wideouts and 1 tight end or something like that, or whatever the formation may be, and you've got Mixon in the backfield. It's like, okay, go ahead and put 7 in the box because Tank Dell is going to be 30 yards behind his guy. Here.
Yep. You want to play cover 3? We're gonna throw it underneath and destroy you with Stephon Diggs. Or you want to play cover 4? We're gonna throw a seam, split those zones. Tank Dell's going over the top. You want to play cover 2? We got Schultz going right over the middle. You're not going to be able to stop him. Like, oh, and at any of those times we can check into the run while you guys are all back in coverage because we got so many weapons. Joe Mixon's going to have an open field to run through. So it's pretty amazing what they can do, even with an aging Joe Mixon. So, yeah, I think the Texans will be a fun team to watch this year. I think the Colts actually, too, because I didn't expect a lot from Anthony Richardson, but he was making some really powerful throws, I think is the best way to describe them.
That one to Alec Pierce when he was getting tattooed was like, holy shit.
How do you do that? That's
he
pure
just
upper body.
launched it up
Yeah, he did. But like, how do you get it that far down the field while you're falling backwards, about to get smushed? Like,
oh, and he hit him like he never had to miss a stride for it either. He ran right into that ball.
Yeah, insane. So I think those are definitely up and coming teams. I think the Colts could be. I don't think it's going to be their year this year. I think there might be a playoff team for sure. But I think, again, like we talked about the Patriots in 3 years from now, the Colts might be 1-2 years removed from being in that discussion too.
I think they're maybe not as far off as you think. I think that they can definitely compete for a wild card spot as long as Anthony Richardson stays healthy.
I mean, they do have Jonathan Taylor. They have some
Mhm.
Pittman, Pierce, and Mitchell now. Yeah, you might not be wrong. It might be sooner than we think. All right.
I mean, I don't have good.
You're good. Go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't really have a ton of faith in anyone else in their division. So I mean, why not the Colts? So
That's true. That's true. All right, move on to the Vikings and Giants. Not a lot to talk about here. Sam Darnold looked like an actual professional quarterback, and the Giants looked like a JV team at Rocky Grove.
why are the Giants even allowed on television? Like seriously, like this is just embarrassing.
I just feel really bad for Neighbors, and the fact that they unretired a number for him, and then he's in this situation. Like the Giants, I always thought Giants may be the NFC Browns.
No, they've got the Super Bowl actually.
That's fair.
Fair.
Bears are probably the NFC Browns, but
They also have one Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll give you all of
Browns fucking
that. That one's just Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof. He's kind of like old school Randy Moss. No matter where you put him, he's going to do well. So.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will say Sam Darnold looked pretty decent. I get that he really wasn't asked to do a ton given the situation in the game where Daniel Jones was just throwing touchdowns to the Vikings himself.
Right.
But I'll be interested to see how he looks this week against the 49ers.
Yeah, that's going to be very
overall, I mean, he might be able to keep the Vikings competitive all year. He's definitely going to support Justin Jefferson at the bare minimum, which is really what people care about. So
yeah, that's all the fantasy owners want.
That is correct. That's the only one. That's the only reason anyone's actually watching the Vikings this year, anyway. So
see how many touchdowns they can get out of JJ.
Exactly.
All right, Raiders.
I leave my seat for 2 seconds, and boy,
oh yeah,
comes and takes it.
Raiders and
also,
Chargers.
I will say Sam Darnold did look good, and the Bears are the Browns of the NFC.
Thank you. She must have been. You've been able to hear us with your wireless headset the whole time.
It's the quarterbacks.
All right, Chargers and Raiders. Jim Harbaugh starts off good. Again, I don't know what receivers they really have over there, but Dobbins looked fantastic, which I didn't expect at all. Raiders still have some things to figure out. I wouldn't bail on Minshew so quickly. I think that game was not his fault. I think it was the coaching and the decision making. I think Jace would agree with me on that one, though.
Yeah, I think you could blame a little bit of both. There was a couple of times where, I mean, Minshew was 25 for 33, but just taking like sacks when you didn't need it, and just being like very reckless with the ball almost. And
you're trying to be a hero,
literally, and that's. I don't think you need it. I think you just need he threw for 257. It was 25 for 33, and Justin Herbert was 17 for 26 with 144, and they won. And it was just for the sole fact of we couldn't sustain a drive long enough and couldn't get a run game going to keep the offense up. And our defense was playing fucking great. Like they allowed 9 points through the first 3 quarters and then gave up the final 13 points in the fourth quarter because by that point they were just fucking. So the defense looked very good. I think there's a lot to build on. The coaching staff will figure it out. They're all still new. This is, there's a lot of things, teething problems and, issues you're going to have. And I won't start putting a paper bag on my head until at least week 4.
My biggest thing with them was just them punting on 4th and 1 in the Chargers territory when they were only down 6. Like at a certain point, you can't be that conservative. You have if you want to win the game, you need if you can't get 1 yard, then you don't deserve to win the game.
Then that's what I was just. I didn't really understand that one, but again, and with everything we've seen with Antonio Pierce, everything about the interviews he's given and the personality of this team has suggested that should be a situation where we should go for.
Yeah, I
And
was very surprised by it. Like
I
the
think the
vibe that I
Chargers,
get from him is just like they want to beat you up type of football team.
the Chargers are a perfect cautionary tale of Brandon Staley as to why you shouldn't go for it on fourth down all the fucking time.
Wow.
I do think
I
that
feel
was
like
that was
last year he would have said go for it. Like I feel like last year at the end of the season he was way more aggressive than he was at any
well,
point
he
in
was
that
he
game.
was coaching to get a fucking job is what he was doing.
That's fair.
And I think he'll realize that. I think he'll probably go, okay, just because you have the job now doesn't mean, oh, let's never, be aggressive and go for it and then, be the one that gets burned. I'm definitely not sounding any alarms yet, but it would have been nice to get this one, but we move on.
Yep. And I think, and we can kind of talk about this at the end, but the overall encompassing view is the start of the season was controlled by running backs. There was not drastically amazing passing to start this season. Like, I feel in past
Yeah,
years this was the
have
lowest.
this stat.
There we
Hang
go.
on.
I knew Carly would have a stat for me. She's my
And
stat.
I do. Have
I
this.
know you brought up earlier real quick about the Madison versus Zamir thing.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that is our offensive line is going to be good this year, but Colton Miller was out until I think the last week of preseason, injured, and he did not. He was having a hard time with Khalil Mack of all people, which I find it hard. Mack's well past his prime,
Oh, yeah.
and if Colton Miller's healthy, he probably handles him just fine. But I think he's still getting his win back. And, yeah, that contributed. Samir had 13 carries for 44 yards. He is not being who I am making him out to be on our Madden franchise ball.
Yeah, there were just 33 total passing touchdowns across the league, with more than half of the teams failing to throw for 200 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
That
very
is
surprising considering the NFL is literally built for offenses to have an advantage over defenses. So,
That's
Well, this
just
is
it.
a
It's like,
result of nobody playing in preseason.
well, yeah, I was about to say
I
that as
agree.
well.
And Pat McAfee talked about it today, where he was like, "Are we going back to the old way of football finally? We run first, good defense, running the ball." And I think it's always kind of been that way. It just hasn't been highlighted. And this week one, with how many new quarterbacks and new systems, rookie quarterbacks starting, like there's a lot of factors that probably go into the fact that there wasn't as much passing yards in this first week. I think by week 4, you're going to see a lot of that shift in the other direction. Here's the one stat I want to point out to you, Jace. Zamir White, 38% snap percentage. Yes, he had the more carries. Madison had over 60% of the snap percentage. Now, obviously, you were down. He's kind of the pass catching back. But do you see that shifting back in the future?
Yeah, like I said, I just think it was more. I think they realized right off the bat that without Colton having a full offseason, he's the anchor of that offensive line, and I just think because we're kind of like a revolving door. We have like a couple of solid guys at right tackle, but it was just a matter of as soon as we started to trail a little bit and it got a little competitive, it was just that they just weren't. They weren't. I watched like Samir had 44 yards and he made the most of what he got. Like they weren't really giving him much to look at.
13 carries is like that's a half is what it should be,
Yeah, but no, I do think they'll get that balanced out, and I do think we are going to be like you said, be a defensive team, run the ball at everybody. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get new offensive coordinator. Everything needs time to gel, and I won't think about drinking Clorox until at least weekend.
It's actually a little surprising how similar the way our teams, the Raiders and the Steelers, kind of are right now. Good defense,
Pretty much.
run the ball, have a liability in the quarterback position.
Pretty much.
All right. I only think we got a couple more here. Let me get back to it. So Seahawks and Broncos. The biggest take out of that one was DK Metcalf didn't do anything that game, and Bo Nix basically threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage most of the time.
I mean, you can thank Patrick Surtain for DK Metcalf doing nothing, but
Very
Yeah.
true.
I'd be worried about George Pickens this week because that's the only receiver you guys have. So
Yup.
expect him to be irrelevant. I wouldn't start him, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Seahawks end up winning that. I just feel like it was unglorious.
It was a very weird game because the Seahawks somehow gave up 2 safeties in one game, which feels impossible. But
right?
both those teams just, I don't know, they both just kind of looked like they were going backwards for a while. And only towards the end where Kenneth Walker started breaking off big runs did the game really ever open up. And the
Good, by
Seahawks
the way, he's
finally.
now injured.
Well, yeah, shocking. But
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to say about that game besides these are going to be very average teams throughout the year. They're going to have they're going to win ugly games, they're going to lose ugly games, I think is how it's going to be. They're going to be pretty middle of the pack when it comes to records, I feel.
I think one thing when we were talking about like the touchdowns that happened this week, like one of the things that, and you see it in like this game. I don't know if Geno Smith or any of the Seahawks starters even played in the preseason.
I don't believe so.
Don't think they even did. I mean, it's just like I feel like all these players that are just like not showing up to training camp, wanting money, all these players that just don't play a single drive and before the start of the season, like it's literally just making the beginning of an NFL season just a worse product.
Yep.
Like they have to do something to figure out how to make these players like get into season form before the season starts, because it's like the first 3 weeks are the actual preseason now.
Like
A
I
lot of teams-
understand the don't get your stars injured, so don't play them in the preseason, but you literally set yourself up for failure week 1 when you do that.
And they're more likely to get injured because they're not worked out, like they're not in form to play. It's such a I mean, they need to the NFL needs to like do something about it, because
They hate the
like,
preseason.
it's
they hate it.
just- This
They
is
want it
But they're
this is
going to
the
get rid of
worst.
another preseason game, I can assure you that. The second they expand this NFL season to 18 games, guess what they're chopping off? Another week in the preseason.
Yep.
Well, it won't be long until there is no preseason, honestly. A lot of teams, like,
Why even
seem to
have it?
I mean, I don't even know why they have it anyway. No one watches it. It's an atrocious product.
Make your
Like,
cuts off of the fucking joint practices.
yeah, a lot of teams now like value the joint practices more than they do the preseason games because you're not allowed to touch the quarterback, so there's not nearly as much risk of sending your guys out there.
Yeah. I don't know.
It will not exist eventually, I can assure you.
I feel like it's dumb for it not to exist, but I do agree with you. I think it'll be gone soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
Every major sport has some preseason games, though. I feel like there is in hockey. It's only like 5 games, 4 games, something like that.
Well, the
I
important
personally
thing is
don't care if they
literally
get rid of
doesn't
it.
Matter. Yeah, I mean it
Yeah.
doesn't. What the hell's the difference? Nobody even plays starters anymore.
Yeah, the only thing I
Especially
can
this
say
year.
about
this was
that
probably
is-
the worst year for it. Nobody played this year.
Oh yeah, it was definitely bad this year. But the evaluating of your young players at game speed, I think, is the big thing. Finding that gem of the undrafted. We wouldn't have Jalen Warren if it wasn't for preseason.
Well, that's who's really getting punished. Like as they continue to like chop down on the preseason games, is all the people trying to make the football teams because they don't really get an opportunity to showcase what they can do. Because in these joint practices, all the starters are getting their reps because they need the reps. It's more important for them to get the reps. So they're the bottom of the roster guys are really who's suffering here.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. I feel like they get rid of it, it's going to drastically affect the rosters in the leagues. I feel like they have to change the maximum players that you're allowed on the team. Like it's got to move from a 53-man roster to a 60-man roster.
I mean, it used to be 46, I believe, on game day. I do believe it's up to 53 now,
Yeah.
and you're allowed to have an extra quarterback since the 49ers
I believe you're allowed
cried to death. But
53, but 49 for game day, I think is what it was. I think.
okay, I know it went up. I don't remember exactly what the number is, but
Then you also have to think too, like, with just like the shitty quarterback play of this week. Like, do you think that it's actually the offensive line having to be at the line exactly, and getting called penalties like they were, and they showed on Thursday and Friday that they were going to be doing that a lot. Do you think that had an effect possibly on just the shitty quarterback play? Because I mean, it's a game of inches, and when your tackles have to be, 5 inches up further than they normally are, it's I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it too.
Well, the way they utilize the preseason now, it doesn't make sense. If they utilized it right and played starters for the first half or whatever and got them up to speed, it would make sense because then you come to week 1 prepared. The way it's set up now is preseasons to evaluate some of the young players and figure out who you want in your roster and not get your people up to speed. Week 1 through 4 is what that's for. So extending the season is not going to feel different. Week 1's still going to be horrible, and it's still going to take a month for everybody to figure out what their identity is. It's just nobody utilizes the preseason the way it was when we were kids. The preseason used to be that. Like, game 2, you saw... Game 1, you didn't usually see the starters. Game 2, you saw the starters for, like, a quarter. Game 3, maybe the same thing.
Game 3 was like the dress rehearsal game.
Yeah.
That's literally what they called it. All the teams would actually play their starters. And then the 4th game was just no starters whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally just the guys trying to make the cut.
Mm-hmm. That is how it used to be, 100%. And it wasn't that long ago that it was that way.
Right. It was when they dropped it down to 3 games. Now everything is just, don't play the starters. We'll just use this whole time to evaluate. So
Yeah, and you can say that like adding games to the regular season is no big deal, but honestly, like talk to literally any veteran player, they do not want the season to be extended. They think it's completely out of control, like because it's just too hard. Like one extra game might not seem like a big deal to us, but it is to them. Like they're the ones that have to physically go through it every week.
Demanding. If you're gonna throw a second bye week in, maybe.
Yeah, that's what they
That's
need
the
to do.
thing,
But
You have to put a second bye week. I think they already should be putting a second bye week in. It should be like the fucking, doesn't the NBA do that where like the whole
All-Star break
league takes
Mhm.
a week off and they do like an all-star game?
Well, because I think we've talked about this. I don't know if I brought this up on here or not, but if they would do that and they would add either another game or a second bye week, if they were going to do that, because you know how everybody always fucking like they say the biggest call off day in America every year is the fucking day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What they've said that because if you think about it, the fucking Super Bowl always happens the Monday before or the Sunday before President's Day.
Yeah, and Goodell has said that's his ultimate goal.
Yeah, they want to get another fucking week added somehow, just so that way nobody has to take that Monday off, and we all get it off for President's Day.
Everybody just gets it all off anyway. Yeah. Right.
It should be a fucking national holiday.
It really should.
I don't think anyone's getting that lucky, but
moving on to the last 4 games here so we can get on to week 2. Cowboys and the Browns. Deshaun Watson is the worst football player in the NFL right now. The Cowboys looked good, but if you look at the stats, it was a lot of the Browns handing them the ball back. Dak didn't really have to do a ton. Zeke didn't have to do a ton to win that game. Zeke, I'm going to say this, and you guys can laugh all you want. Zeke did not look that bad, though. He actually, I wouldn't say he is, 4 years ago form, but he looked serviceable. Kind of Frank Gore-like. No? I expected to be just...
I don't know.
I expected to be completely destroyed. And
it's also early in the season. Give it like halfway through the season. He'll be worn down. And
don't worry.
He
got Dalvin Cook to back
10 attempts for 40 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call that an impressive performance.
He got 2 catches for 9 yards. I mean, like, this is like... I mean, there's just nothing really to say about this, I don't feel like.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot.
That's the reality, is that there's just not really anything to say about it.
Looked better than I expected him to look. I think it's the best way to say it.
The reality is the Cowboys didn't really have to do much whatsoever about even really competing in this game. Deshaun Watson literally wasn't competent enough to move the football. So, I mean, they were pretty much under no threat to force the ball down the field. So,
He
they were
couldn't
pretty
even
much
give
just.
his hand to the lineman. I don't remember what lineman was knocked over, and he went over to help him up, and the lineman slapped his hand away.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was hilarious.
I did see that.
Clearly, all of his teammates hate him, but,
Yeah.
they're
I
paying him
don't
too
think
much
there's
money.
many people in America that don't hate him. So,
Well, yeah. Fortunately, it doesn't matter what we think. So.
right. We could talk a little bit about him. I mean, there is possibility that another allegation came out against him about, from I think 2020. There is possibility that the Browns could get out of his contract because of it. There's some people saying that, like, if these are true and it goes to court, blah, 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 there's ways they can void the contract.
I mean,
I think it's a
feel like
pipe
that's
dream for them. I think
feel
the
like that's
Browns wish they
ridiculous.
could.
They knew who the fuck they were signing when they signed that contract. Like, what, you really thought that nothing else ever was gonna come out and that just like the first 20, that was all?
Yeah.
Like, you knew who you were signing. There should not be any way for them to get out of that contract. That is their own fucking fault. They knew who they signed.
The Texans
they're-
being as good as they are right now are completely the Browns' fault.
Yeah, but I mean, the Browns. If anybody in that Browns organization was smart with that much money invested, I definitely would have snuck hey, if you continue to get diddled by masseuses, or or if something comes up from the past or whatever, and it's going to lead to you being suspended again indefinitely and all that. Absolutely, I wouldn't pay the guy a fucking cent. Get on your merry way and enjoy being an analyst for like fucking some middle Texas fucking high school network or some shit.
I don't think he's allowed near high schools.
Yeah.
God.
Well, no, they weren't children. It was just
Well, yeah.
Sorry, you set me up for that
Cleveland.
one.
What a disaster.
I love when the
I
Browns
just-
brown.
I just couldn't actually believe how bad they were. Like, and I saw
Yep,
that they had like a
Texas and the
bunch of
Browns
missing offensive linemen, and apparently Deshaun Watson didn't really do a ton like recently in the offseason. But my God, like to come out there and put out that performance is just embarrassing.
They have the reigning defensive player of the year. That's so.
Well,
deserved it.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, defensive players don't win games, so.
What's really funny is that TJ Watt had so many things called back that like his stat line would be something that other players wouldn't achieve for like 4 games.
Yep.
From just the one
2
game.
strip sacks, one recovered by himself, another
Yeah,
fumble
2 strip-
recovered, and
yeah,
then
he recovered a fumble, 2 strip sacks.
he would have had 3 sacks, 2 of which would have been forced fumbles, and he
He
would have
had 4
had 2
tackles
recoveries.
for a loss. Yeah, it's just
You would have to add another strip sack in there, and I think 1 more sack got called back.
so much.
2
getting
more
called back.
sacks and another fumble, basically.
Will you stop fucking glazing him? He was going after a man who couldn't move. He's on one leg.
I mean,
You're not wrong.
they're the ones that put him out there.
That's true.
That ain't
Fine,
TJ Watt's fault.
You're not
It's certainly
necessarily
not,
wrong.
but let's maybe I understand it. It
Some
wasn't
contact,
It was
yeah.
a good game, but yeah,
Well,
it's
I mean-
not hard to. It's not hard to walk back there and hit a fucking tackling. I mean,
Well, sure on the sacks, but
Yeah.
dude was fucking taking out Bijan as soon as he was handed the ball like 3 different times.
Yeah.
Like literally in the backfield. Like it was crazy.
He was head faking. It was awesome to watch him do his shit. Anyway, moving on. Bucks and Commanders. Jalen Daniels didn't look horrible. I think out of all the rookie quarterbacks, I think he looked probably the best.
Better than Caleb Williams,
Way better than Caleb Williams.
as anticipated.
Yeah. Again, team we'll be talking about probably in a couple years. Not so much now, but they
Their
show
defense,
promise.
man, is just brutal.
It is real bad, real bad. The Bucks. Baker Mayfield looks like an elite quarterback. Waiting for the rebuttal.
I was elite as far. I feel like I emphasized how bad Washington's defense was before you could move into how good Baker was. But
Yeah.
No, Baker Mayfield does look very good, and I think it's awesome to see because I'm, as much of a Browns hater I was always a big fan of Baker Mayfield. I thought he brought very good moxie to the game. Yeah, you can give me that face all you want. I've
You're
always
a
liked Baker
fucking
Mayfield.
liar. This is like the equivalent of when a band gets good and then, I've liked them all along. All you did was talk
I
shit
have
about
always
Baker.
liked him as a person. His commercials were hilarious.
Now you're backtracking. Now you're fucking you're lying.
I'm not. I rooted for him. When
No,
Uncle
you
Lonnie would come
No, you
and
didn't.
talk about, Baker Mayfield and the team, I said, Baker's good. I like Baker.
I know he doesn't watch this, but if there's one person I can't trust more than you, it's your uncle. So
But no, I am happy to see him doing well. I was not like, and I will admit I was probably wrong when they said, the Steelers could sign Baker Mayfield, and I went, fuck no. I probably should have said yes.
I bet you
I would agree
love
with that.
Baker
Yeah, I
Mayfield
would have
right
fucking
now.
loved
I
Baker
would-
Mayfield right now.
I wouldn't necessarily hate me a Baker Mayfield. No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed.
So I think the Bucks look very good. Definitely a strong playoff team. Probably going to win that division.
I mean, after watching the Falcons play, I feel like they have to be considered the favorite in the division at this point because I certainly don't believe in the Saints long term with Raider great Dennis Allen. So
Yeah, no.
Boy, well, three Raiders.
Oh,
They
yeah.
got Buster Moreau and Derek Carr on that
oh
team.
my God, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, it's practically Oakland South.
So,
No, isn't that sad that that's going to be like the big showdown for that division? I would have to look through the schedule, but we might be looking at I think the Buccaneers will actually be somewhat impressive, and I think they'll be probably like a 3 or a 4 in the NFC or something. They'll be up there.
So,
Yeah, it's going to be
I'm
like
going to try to show the camera. I luckily did not pick the Falcons to win the division. I picked the Buccaneers.
well played.
Yeah. I did, although, pick the Jets to win that division,
Ooh,
so we'll
well,
see
that ain't
about
looking
that.
great.
That's a little tough.
I did pick the Ravens also to win the AFC North, which actually may be a stretch also.
Oh, hey, and by the way,
I would
wasn't
say they're
like
still the favorite,
mid-sentence
but
or something, and you can go fuck yourself. But
What's that?
there wasn't still mid-sentence or anything. You can go fuck yourself if you're like, hey guys, hey,
check
look at
this
my
out.
Yeah, do you want to see all the bets I won? I mean, does anybody else have any to show? We have a little show and tell.
No, like I said,
No, just me.
We still
Just
have
me
one
with
more
the
game to get
6
to.
that I won, 7 that I won.
I missed out on $350 because the Dolphins couldn't get their fucking act together. So.
I missed
Sounds
out
like
on
you just
almost
lost.
$600 because Christian Watson couldn't catch 25 yards passing.
Sounds like a lot of
I-
excuses.
I will congratulate you, Carly, because you probably actually tripled your lifetime bets you've won in your life.
Probably true.
And that's what did you win? 4? So let's round of applause.
I won like 8 over the whole
Okay,
weekend.
8. Okay, so you still tripled.
I'm
it.
up like
Congrats.
$400.
Actually, no, I believe that's like an 800% increase for you.
Yeah,
But no,
I'm up like $400,
well
All
done.
right.
Well
which
done.
is just what I'll be using to bet.
Let's get
the
to these
rest of the
last two
season.
games so we
I-
can move on to
I
week
wouldn't
2.
be sitting here bragging. I'm happy for you that you made that money. I wouldn't be shitting all over you. but
As am I. I'm happy that my motivation telling you suck made you get good.
Yeah, if only you were good, you'd have a lot more money.
Very much not good. I was fucking horrible. I was so fucking bad.
Believe me,
Like,
it's all Carly and I talked about during the Eagles game was your
Yeah.
fucking bets.
my bets were
Yeah.
god awful. I
Yeah.
nailed everything in the Eagles-Packers game except for fucking Christian Watson. There was 3 bets I had.
He didn't have 25 yards.
He had
I would have
13.
guessed it. Oh, good God.
Yeah. If I would have
just
thrown
like-
Yeah.
Wicks, Dobbs, Reed, either of them in there instead of him, would have got him.
Yeah.
But I fucking was like, Christian Watson's their deep threat. No way is he not going to have 25 yards.
Hmm.
Well, you're the same guy that threw out Mark Andrews to catch 3 balls and he got 2 at minus 1,400.
In my defense, who the fuck thought that was going to happen?
I mean,
I
I
don't know, but
watched
with
that.
those odds, you shouldn't have taken it.
The worst part is that Monday I won one that was I think a $5 bet for like a $70 return on the Monday night game, and it had a line voided because I had Christian McCaffrey to get 40 rushing yards, and because it was voided, it went from like a $95 winner to like a $70 winner. And
Jeez.
literally, if he would have played, he would have easily had 40 rushing yards. But
I
That
made
was the
like
only
a
bummer
little.
about that.
I made like a little 3-legger on the Monday night game just because they didn't win anything Sunday. I'm like, all right, win like $50. Let's just see like a small one go through the hoop. And I got like 2 touchdown scores, but then I took the Jets money line.
Yeah, I
Dude, I
lost
was
it a couple on
so
that one.
confident that the Jets were going to win that game, and I was just so disappointed in how they
I think we
looked playing
wanted
ball.
to believe. And we can just go right into
I
that
did.
game there.
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
go, yeah.
CMC didn't start. They
It was
What's
just
his
another
name?
sign for the Jets right there. I
yeah,
just
like
couldn't
oh my
believe it.
god, the Jets are gonna win this. Aaron Rodgers
I
is
was like,
God, you
automatic.
know.
You're like lock, yeah, but oh,
And it honestly wasn't so much the offense doing bad. It was getting really bad bounces and the defense making plays off of it. I mean, there was one really good pass defense that got deflected to another defender. There was a
I mean
the shitty fumble by Hall. It getting punched out by Fred Warner, who's the best middle linebacker in this league, hands down. I mean, they just didn't have a lot of things go their way. I don't think by any means did Rodgers play bad. I think he looked good for somebody who hasn't played in a year. I think they have.
Rodgers got outplayed by the superstar that is Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a look at Jordan Mason basically turned into Christian McCaffrey, another evidence that anyone in that system is going to thrive.
He literally
Just
said
plug him
that to my buddy Matt today, as like you throw Mason in there and he does that.
Turns
it
into
really
Christian
just
McCaffrey.
shows that Kyle Shanahan's offense can turn anybody into an all-star.
Nope. Brock Purdy's elite.
Yeah, okay.
I will never say that. I will say he's better than about half the quarterbacks in the league, though.
There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the league, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
damn
well,
right there
when we
is.
have less than or more than half the quarterbacks not even throwing for 200 yards in week 1, that's
Exactly. Now,
That's
he
the
didn't have to
bar.
do shit that game because the Jets' run defense was surprisingly.
They just ran
horrible.
all over them. I just couldn't believe how bad they were.
Yeah, the
I
Jets defense
expected
looked
the
awful.
defense to kind of carry that team.
Well, I
And-
expected Robert Saleh to at least have a clue on how to defend Kyle Shanahan, considering he worked with him for
Right.
multiple years in San Francisco.
Yeah, he kind of knew what to expect from him, and it was very surprising to me that he did not have it better planned. Well, okay, I can't say it's surprising that he didn't plan out well because
Well, yeah.
the Jets will jet. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to take away from that. I'm interested to see how the year progresses with Rodgers. It looks like his connection with Wilson is very good, and it will grow as the season progresses. He was giving him chances for one-on-one balls, like a lot. That back shoulder throw, the early one, Garrett was completely covered and just stops, goes up and gets it right with the defender's hand on the ball even, and pulled it in. So Rodgers is going to give him shots. And, of course, the offsides, Rodgers throwing a touchdown, like that's classic Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
Like he is going to be a very good game manager for them if they just depend on Brees Hall and actually start playing good defense. So I don't
It
think the
feels like
team's
it
out of
might take them like a month to get to where they need to be,
I
honestly.
agree. I feel like they just need Rodgers to get his sea legs and the defense to really start gelling. But I don't think by any means the team's bad. The 49ers were prepared. Kyle Shanahan has them prepared. Kyle Shanahan is like selling his soul to a devil to try to win a fucking Lombardi at this point.
And it'll never happen.
Yeah, I swear, like he's at the crossroads, digging a hole, burying the box. I don't know if you ever watched Supernatural, but burying the box, getting the demon, making a deal. Like he probably sold Robert Saleh for a Super Bowl, and that's why he hasn't got one yet because his soul's not worth that much, evidently.
It's going to be
That's
like
not-
little Nicky when Marino goes to Satan to beg for a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
In exchange for eternal damnation of your soul, you're much too nice of a guy for me to want to do that to you, Mr. Marino. It's like, well, you did it for Namath, and he's like, yeah, but Joe was coming here anyway.
Oh, so great. Yeah, and then I think the only other game we didn't touch on was the Lions and Rams, and I thought that was a fantastic game. This Lions team's going to be good, and I would not be surprised if they are the number one seed in the NFC. Like everything clicked with that team. Montgomery still looks amazing, even though Gibbs did outsnap him, snap percentage wise. I felt like Montgomery still kind of is the lead back over there. But yeah, I think that team looked great. Puka Nakua and like half of the offensive line got injured for the Rams, so pretty standard for the Rams, I
They're
feel.
pretty much all on IR too.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty
They're in
sure-
trouble. Like their whole offensive line is in complete shambles.
Yeah.
Like they literally are signing guys off the Eagles practice squad. They're so goddamn desperate for linemen. So I don't know, man. They're in for a rough time. It's probably going to be like mid-October until they're relevant.
Yep, I would have to agree with that. Stafford will carry him out of a hole, and Cooper Cup looks like old Cooper Cup. So
You got to pray Stafford like survives behind that offensive line
that's
until like
just it.
yeah, like I
He's
don't know.
made of glass back there, you know. He's had his fair share of injuries, so you don't want Stafford because then you got what's Stenson Bennett.
I don't even want to know. And Cooper
87-year-old Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, the
Yeah, exactly.
39-year-old second year.
Yeah.
Red shirt, sophomore.
The only quarterback older in the league older than Joe Flacco.
There was when he got drafted, I remember seeing one like, they drafted Stenson Bennett because it makes a lot of sense that they could find somebody who was a teammate of Matt Stafford in college.
Jordan.
So yeah, that one's pretty fantastic. But all right, that's our week one review. We went a little long on this one, but it's week one. That's kind of the point of this. Is now we got a lot of stuff under our belt to really see like what these teams are actually going to be made of. So tomorrow's game is Buffalo Bills against Miami Dolphins, a divisional rival. I think that this should be the Dolphins that win this game. I think it comes down to defense if the Dolphins can actually slow down Allen, because I don't feel like he's got the greatest weapons to be able to take over the game. And I think this is a defensive like struggle here. I don't know what you guys feel, but if the Dolphins can slow down Allen or the Bills can slow down Tyreek Hill, that's kind of the option.
Fins up.
Yep, I have to agree with that. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to get my lovely Google Doc, Word document, whatever up here. And we'll just go through and make a nice Google sheet. And we'll share this screenshot of this when we're done. But we'll go through and kind of make our predictions. So we'll say Jesse Baden, Jace Junk. Make sure I post these so everybody can kind of see our predictions for week 2. Carly Baden. All right, so I'm going Dolphins. Jace is also going Dolphins. What do you think, Jesse?
I'm taking the Bills. Josh Allen always owns the Dolphins. I feel pretty confident about it.
Carly?
I also agree with that. I'm gonna go Bills.
All
We'll
right, split
on
down
this
the
one.
middle on that one. I like it. We got the Raiders and the Ravens. I'm sorry to say this, Jace, but this is probably a Ravens game.
What do you mean? This is a bounce back for us.
I picked you guys last week and it burned me, so I'm picking the Ravens.
Ravens.
Are you going against the hometown team, Jace?
No, I don't think. Although I did watch the Ravens in 2016 lose to us in Baltimore. Flacco was the under center, and we still had Derek Carr and Michael Crabtree. So
Yeah, that'll help.
I would love to take my team, but I can't. Probably the Ravens. I will say, everybody's probably gonna. If there's like a big spread on this one where they're gonna give the fucking Raiders like plus 7.5 or something, I'd probably take it.
If it's over 7, I
Yeah.
might take it. Chargers and Panthers. I don't think there's a question there
Yeah.
at all.
Get the Panthers off my screen.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
no.
are we just going to assume every time you bring up the Panthers this year that we're all unanimously?
Yes,
Yeah, I
just
think
I'm never picking the. Wow.
I think there is a chance that the Panthers actually are the second team in NFL history to go 0-16.
Who would literally win right now,
Actually,
the
no,
Giants or the Panthers? Like, oh god.
They'd be the first team to go 0-17.
Oh, you're right. 0-17. Touche.
Yeah, I actually don't think they win a game.
There's a good chance.
Like not.
All right, we got the Saints
They
and
do.
the
They
Cowboys.
play the Giants on November 10th.
Oh, they do. Oh,
Oh wow!
Wow.
oh
That
no.
is going to be must-see TV for all the wrong reasons.
I will be watching that game. with
Probably
a heart-
Thursday night football too. Something atrocious.
Yes, give them the prime time.
Yeah, what's the date again? Is it?
It is a Sunday. It is a
Oh
Sunday.
no.
November 10th, but it's a 9:30 a.m. game. It's probably in
Yeah, so
fucking
it's a London.
It's in London.
Oh, it's still prime time basically. No one's waking up for that.
That is the worst thing that
Poor
has been
London.
sent to London since the Luftwaffe.
Bro. Fucking
think-
hell.
I think London would rather deal with the Blitz again than have to fucking go to
Jesus
Wembley
fucking
and
hell.
watch the Giants.
Moving on. Cowboys and Saints.
Cowboys.
Cowboys. I agree.
Yeah, Cowboys.
Jace?
Carly was making 9/11 jokes earlier.
She was not making any 9/11 jokes. She
I
was
was-
reading
she was just
comments.
reading other
Okay,
people's 9/11
comments or
jokes.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'll give the Cowboys a slight edge.
All right. Go with the Lions and Bucks. I think this is going to be the best game to watch this week, but I am going to go with the Lions on this one.
I think
Lions.
the Bucks win.
Jesse is also Lions. Carly is the Bucks. What do you think, Jace?
Why do you think the Bucks, Carly? I'm just curious.
She's a Baker Mayfield lover.
What'd you
I
say?
think that's you.
Jace wants to know why you're picking the Bucks.
I don't know. I feel like they're scrappy. I feel like this is just one that they're gonna win.
It's Baker Mayfield.
Like, I don't.
All right. Just one of them
All
feelings.
right,
Literally
I
just
like
one of those feelings. Like, I just think it's just one that they're gonna win. I just think the Lions are gonna lose. I think Dan Campbell is gonna lose them so many games this year.
I could see it. He's like his decision making sometimes.
He's got to reel himself in.
You know what, Carly? I love that logic. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Lions.
All right. Green Bay and Colts. Again, I don't know if there's a question there.
Colts.
Yeah, I think that's Colts across the board.
Yeah, that's the Colts.
Just watch
Now-
Malik Willis highlights, and that should answer your question.
Yeah, I might want to throw that as the lock for the money line on that
Well,
one.
I also would have said that about the Bengals last week, so I'd be careful.
Say Chargers
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Colts money line locks.
Yeah, the Chargers for sure.
Yeah, and you may even want to say this one too: Browns and Jags.
Good God.
I'm going Jags in this one, but my God, that's
Yeah, you have to go Jags. I go Jags on that.
The worst part about it is that I could see the Browns winning this somehow because the Jaguars are just
I mean,
very similar in a lot of ways.
They
But
look very
they
disheveled.
find ways to lose games. They had no business losing last week, but
That's
they
right.
did. I'll take the Jags though.
all right, Niners and Vikings. Again, I don't know if there's any other questions besides it.
Jace is like, do I get an answer here?
Oh, sorry, I thought you did say Jags,
No, I didn't say the Jags.
but you're gonna say the Jags.
No, I'm taking the Browns.
Rip.
The Jags fucking stink.
So do the Browns.
Well, if we're having a stink off, I don't know how I believe in Deshaun Watson.
That's what I usually do when I get to work.
Trevor
First thing
Lawrence.
is have a nice stink off.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, just give me the Browns.
All right. Niners and Vikings. I'm going Niners. I think pretty much everybody's going Niners on this one. Am I mistaken?
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. And then Seahawks and Patriots. Like what Mayo's doing over there, but this is going to be the Seahawks that come out on top here.
I'm taking the Patriots. I think they're going to go 2-0.
Wow.
It's just going to
I
be the
love
thing
it.
that makes absolutely no sense. The Seahawks were not impressive. Denver could have won that game.
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
in
gonna
New
ride-
England.
I'm riding with Mr. Smith on this one. Give me the Patriots.
Wow. Carly?
I don't know. Patriots are still just pretty bad, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go with the Patriots on that one.
Okay.
We'll see.
I think what I'm going to do, Jesse, is every single one that me and you agree on, money line parlay.
Without question.
I like it. There you go. You guys do tend to like agree on the majority of things. Jets and Titans. I think it's got to be the Jets in this one. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to make Will Levis's Titans look silly.
I could see Sauce Gardner having 7 interceptions.
Yeah. Could be a field
That's
day.
actually what the problem is. It has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong.
It's
Yeah,
the
you're not
Jets.
wrong. there.
Jets for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I'll bet you, like, if they did it over under on interceptions, I bet you Sauce Gardner's is literally like 5.5.
Giants and Commanders. Again, don't think I have to discuss that with you guys.
Nope.
Just
No.
break down
The Giants,
Commander.
I think, are lucky if they get a win too this year. But I guess they have to play the Panthers, so someone.
The only thing I'll say about that is that the Giants actually do always beat Washington, and I know because they're in my division. That's the only thing that concerns me.
I'm just now picturing that Giants Panthers game ending like 0-0 or 3-3 in a tie.
Just
Yeah,
0
literally.
and 2 is what it'll
Oh
be.
my
Like
God.
somebody will fumble.
It'll be 2-2 in a tie with two
Yeah.
safeties, each team having a safety.
And I think it would be the first time Goodell would probably actually come out and be like, you know what, that's not a tie. You both get a loss.
Yeah, sorry. A tie would be too nice.
Yeah, a tie would constitute either one of you getting like half a point, and we can't fucking have. You both
All right, Rams and Cardinals. I know that the line's banged up for the Rams, but I don't like this Cardinals team. I'm going with the Rams on this one. I just don't feel like Kyler Murray is worth a damn, and I drafted him in a couple leagues, and it makes me very sad.
Cardinals could have won that game against the Bills.
Yep.
And the Rams are completely depleted everywhere. It's Cardinals.
I agree, and I like the Cardinals. I just worry too much about Stafford back there.
Redbirds for me.
All right, I am the lone wolf on that. I feel like I should change my pick. Jesus.
No,
let
stay
us-
where you're at. That's right.
Steelers, Broncos. I'm a little bit of a homer on this one, but I feel like the defense is going to destroy Bo Nix. So
Yeah, if we can score a singular touchdown, I think we win that game.
Yeah.
Even if we don't, even if it's
The only
just
question
Boswell
is how
again.
do you score a touchdown?
That
What
is
are-
a good question.
what is these,
Jalen Warren?
touchdowns you
wheel.
talk about.
I was gonna say it. Like after last
Okay,
week,
I'm
I'm
writing
like,
that
oh my
one
God.
down because that's the type of shit that will happen. This game will end 10-7 or like 10-9 or something, and Jalen Warren will catch a wheel pass. Like
That's what I'm saying. It's a Jalen Warren wheel. That's the only way we score.
And the ball
I'll take the
goes
Steelers
is,
also.
There's
is
a
passed
reason I
at
think
the
they
line
put
of scrimmage. He
Boswell in the
breaks
game.
some tackles and goes to the house.
she's done the probabilities, folks. It's the only way they can score a touchdown.
It is the only way.
I've run the simulations.
Jace, who you going with on that one?
I'm going to take the Broncos just for the sole fact of, like Jesse said, Fields is going to have to find somebody else to throw to this week, and I think Pickens is going to be taken completely off the map.
Don't disagree with
So
that logic.
it's basically going to be if Bo Nix doesn't turn the ball over, and
Which he
you
will.
know let
Multiple times.
if he doesn't, will you
3.
shut the fuck up? Shut the fuck up!
2
he
interceptions and a
doesn't.
fumble.
This is my fucking time. Fucking damn it. No, as long as Nix doesn't turn the ball over, like Jesse said, Steelers score a touchdown, they might win, but this is going to be like probably first score win.
Yeah.
I'm going with the donkeys.
Who did you say,
I-
Jesse?
I'm taking the Steelers, but I could certainly see the Broncos winning.
Or sorry, as Myron called them, the Yankees.
The Yankees.
The Yankees.
Bengals and Chiefs again. I don't think there's a question on that one. I think
Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
think
Not after
the-
watching them
steamroll them.
last week. I'm good.
yeah, the lovely Bengals are washed out.
Which
Like,
means they're definitely going to come out and beat the Chiefs
yeah,
because,
probably watch.
already.
Isn't Joe? I think Joe Burrow's like 5-1 against like
Yeah, he is good against the
Mahomes,
Chiefs.
Allen, and like. But then he's like against like the shittiest quarterbacks ever. He's like 1-7 or something. Like I
And the
saw.
problem is, I think his record in September is like 2-8 or something. Like they start out horrible every single year. Like, no, I can't do it.
I just can't help every time Jesse says, I know he's trying to say Bengals, but the way he says it, I just start hearing walk like an Egyptian.
The Bengals.
No,
Bengals.
you're saying the Bengals is what you're saying.
The Bengals.
I do
It's
say
Bengals.
the Bengals, and I'll keep calling them the Bengals.
Way-o.
The
The
only
Bengals.
in the defense of the Bengals in previous years, Joe Burrow has not had like a good preseason or been healthy at the beginning of the year, any year so far. And they're all like, he's healthy this year. And then he's like, hey, I can't pick up that Gatorade bottle. So so yeah, no. I think the Chiefs take this one and Bengals start 0-2 and the Steelers lead the division. All right, Bears and Texans again. Don't know if there's a question on this one.
Nope.
You may the next two games. You may as well just because then it's Falcons Eagles, and I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no questions on any. Of
There's about 6 games to pick this week. The rest are pretty decided.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody's gonna throw a stinker. Like one of these teams, were like, "Oh yeah, there's no way," is gonna lose. Like
For
it
sure.
might, like it's 100% gonna happen. Like I don't know who, but it's.
At the risk of sounding biased, but we've talked about how Lamar Jackson just
That's
sometimes
literally what I was looking at. It might be the Raiders.
sometimes just doesn't look like himself. And if our defense gets enough pressure on him, I can very easily see us making his day a living
That
hell.
offensive line is not good, and
No.
Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins could eat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's gonna happen, but that could easily be a game. Like that's why I was saying, if they give you like plus 6.5 or something, take it because that might be the one leg of your parlay that you can just, as I'm doing right now, just kick your feet up and be like, that's nice. The Raiders are up by 3 scores. I don't have to worry about that.
So, all right. Last but not least, we are going to make our Thursday parlay, all the rage parlay. So let me go over here to the sports book so we can take a lovely peek at it. Yes, I know that is me. Let's go. Continue. Yeah, log me in. Remember, very good. Okay then. So, I think we're gonna do exactly what we did last time. 2 legs each. The only thing is, what we're gonna do this time is get them correct.
Didn't we all go 1 for 2?
We all
I
did.
believe so, yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah, I
sure
think
everybody
one
went
of us-
1 for 2.
each one leg.
So I want to look real quick, just the simple. I feel like there's not. They're not doing just standard over-unders on receiving yards unless you specifically go to receiving props now. It's very odd. All right, so Tyreek Hill's over-under is 93.5. That's tough to bet on. I know he's usually a 100-yard.
I'm not sure that it is that tough to bet on.
I mean,
That's what I'm thinking.
you're not necessarily wrong. Man, there is a lot. I kind of like Shakir over 40.
It's so hard to pick a Bills receiver, though. It's just
It
like,
really is. James Cook's over 18.5. I'm going to pop in that. Shakir over 40.5. I think that's going to be one of mine. I kind of like that. I also want to. I will go against my standard of steering clear of touchdown scorers and going to say Josh Allen. Plus 105 for him.
For a touchdown?
For a touchdown, plus 105.
Oh, yeah, he's almost always a lock.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a good one to do. Jesse, you're frozen. Both Carly and Jace are not here because I think they're on their phones.
No,
looking at
that's,
the book.
that is
I'm on
also
my
why.
phone.
That's
Yeah,
why
I'm
everybody's
looking
frozen.
at it. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I can't look up FanDuel on my company.
yeah, I can't look at it.
All right, so those are my two. Shakir over 40.5 and then a Josh Allen touchdown. I feel like an A-Chain touchdown is another good one, but obviously I got my.
He's
two
also
guys in.
hurt, and he's a game time decision, so
Is
I feel
he?
like,
Of course he
yeah,
is.
I know. So I would be
I
worried
feel like
about
the
the
guy is
Dolphins.
so quick he just hurts himself from his own speed. Like legit.
He's very small, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
I've got both my legs.
Okay, go for it.
Mac Hollins over 1.5 total receptions.
God damn it,
Matt
Chase. I was looking at the same
Collins.
thing.
Yeah, let's see here. Matt
Yeah,
Collins.
because I think he
Mac
had 3 catches
Collins.
last game
Sorry,
and
I
had a
thought you said
touchdown.
Matt Collins.
He did.
He's over 1.5. That's actually not bad. Okay, go for it. I got that.
And then again, you don't like your TD scorers, but as Jesse said, Jeff Wilson Jr. because I believe Mostert's banged up as well now, and
Yeah, he's
A-Chain's
already out.
questionable. Yeah,
Mostert's
so
out.
it's looking like Jeff Wilson Jr. But they drafted Jalen Wright.
I was going to
and
say
he's getting
Jalen Wright's
decent
going to be their
debut.
guy over Wilson.
Yes. Matt Collins over 1.5 total receptions. Jalen Wright anytime TD.
Wow. Okay. All right, let's take it.
Why are you always fucking wowing me? What
You
is
do no. I was just saying, wow, that's an interesting take. I didn't think about that. I didn't realize that Mostert was out. And
Yeah,
I didn't
Mostert's
realize
already
that
out.
A-Chain
Yeah, he's
was
already out.
hurt.
No, I didn't
Here's
realize
the
it.
problem, though. If we hear that A-Chain's in, does that make you feel like we got to change that?
No, because I still think, well, fucking literally, like Jeff Wilson Jr. Like I remember there was like 2 good games he had when he played for San Fran when he was on my fantasy team. He's another guy that's made out of fucking paper mache.
I will
Isn't that
say
bad?
Jeff Wilson Jr. and A-Chain have the same odds to score a touchdown.
Yeah, they don't really know.
I did. Oh, yeah, because they're not sure who's going to be playing, I guess. Let's see. Ankle officially questionable. A-Chain will be a questionable leading up to Thursday night game against the Bills. He's expected to be a game time decision. Won't know the status until kickoff nears. Mostert chest rolled out. Rookie Jalen Wright will have the opportunity to make his NFL debut and see some real touches.
All right, I've got mine here.
All right, I like it. Let's roll it. All right, Carly.
I'm going James Cook, 3+ alt receptions.
Okay. I don't mind that.
And then I'm going
What's
to
his
do
actual over/under on receptions? Is it? It's 2.5.
yeah. So
What's
3+.
What's the odds difference?
That's what I'm looking right now. Where are you? Receptions.
3+ is -118.
So the over/under for him
Is 3.5.
is -114. It's either way. Same odds. Didn't.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's -118 for 3 receptions.
So, yeah, you want
-114 for the +2 or the over 2.5. So we want to go the
It's
over.
not much. Yeah, take the over.
All right, go on, Carly.
Hang on, you got me all screwed up now. And then my other one is Josh Allen, 25+ rushing.
Oh, I like that too. I like that one. Let's see here. Josh Allen's over and under was 35. I actually kind of like all of the 25. Okay. And I think Jesse, you're the last one here.
Yeah, no, Jace took the Matt Collins one. I was looking at the exact same thing. He was the one catching passes last week, and his over/under for reception is literally 1.5. So if he catches 2 balls, it literally gets that. So I like that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he catches 2 screens behind the line of fucking screens. No fucking catch.
Exactly. Like I remember watching the game. I'm like, is that fucking Mac Hollins out there making these catches? I'm like, what the
Raider
hell?
legend.
Raider and Super Bowl champion Mac Hollins. So he was on our team. The Eagles never won the Super Bowl. It's the only reason I even know who the hell he is. But
I'm going to use my profit boost for this. Should I use my no sweat or my profit boost on this one?
Oh, profit boost, because no sweat would imply that it's going to lose.
All right.
What do we have so far? Because it's kind of hard to keep track of everything.
Shakir over 40.5 receiving. Josh Allen touchdown. Jalen Wright touchdown. Mac Hollins over 1.5 receptions. James Cook over 2.5 receptions. And Josh Allen 25 rushing yards. We literally do not have a receiver or besides Mac Hollins.
Let me take a look at the receivers.
Bro, there's kicker props. Tyler Bass over 6.5.
Oh, dude, especially after I got fucked by a kicker.
Oh my god,
take a look at that.
have a kicker prop now?
I didn't. Jesus.
Total kicking points. Over
total
under
points. So that means he's got to make.
What does that mean exactly?
Wait, does that? That's actually. Does that mean extra points?
It would be. It would just be total kicking points. So it'd be
essentially
like
an extra point and 2 field goals.
Yeah.
Now, why do I only see the Tyler Bass versus the Jason Sanders?
Yeah, Jason
Sanders. That's also so bad. Question is what team's going to kick more field goals?
I feel like the Bills.
Yeah, I think the Bills would too.
I mean, I feel like over for Tyler Bass.
Are we really putting a fucking kicker in this, though?
I didn't even know it was a thing. But that doesn't
6.5 points.
We're putting props on this.
Yeah, you're right. It was so bad that you almost have to.
Think about it. 4 extra points, okay, and 1 field goal, or 2 field goals and an extra point.
I see it. 6.5. I mean, 6.5 points for a kicker isn't that out of the question after last week.
It's weird that the odds for Jason Sanders is drastically different.
Like, yeah, I see that.
Huh. They must expect Miami to kick.
It was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Bills could also score like 5 touchdowns and get all of these points also.
Right. Watch it go down where he has 6 points. They score a touchdown to tie it, and they have to go for a 2.
They go for fucking 2. Did you fucking imagine? You almost have to just put it in just for fucking shits at this point. It was so bad last week, like these fucking kickers.
So who are you thinking? Sanders or Bass?
Bass.
All right, so we're going to go over 6.5 for Bass.
Oh, no. You
what?
Put it in the parlay.
Oh, no. What?
Oh, no. That just ruins the fun.
That's so lame.
Jesus.
All right, well, never mind.
Never mind. Fun's ruined.
Fun
Yeah, I can't believe we're in the fucking same game. We have nothing for any of the receivers on the Dolphins.
Because they really only have 2, and Tyreek Hill's is fucking 93.5.
I feel like you go receptions on Waddle.
What was that?
I feel like
you go all.
Yeah, I feel like you go like 4 receptions on Waddle. That's minus 310.
Well,
didn't he get hurt last week? Yeah, I'm worried about him.
Yeah. They let him come back to the game with a kick. He said he cleared protocol, right. But he's still questionable this week.
That's a good point.
So then maybe receptions. Yeah.
Like 280, minus 280.
Yeah,
you
that's
gotta do like Durham Smythe or something. Get like the tight end. But do they still have Mike Gesicki?
The only other guy showing up here is like Jonnu Smith.
Yeah. Jonnu Smith had a few catches last week.
Yeah, he's at 15.5 yards for Jonnu Smith. Is what he's up to. Dear God.
Keenan Coleman.
I can't say I remember.
Keenan Coleman for 25 yards is only minus 320. Not horrible.
Only.
Was he-
Boy, that's a
Oh.
fucking steal.
His 50 yards is his plus.
Well, I think he had 5 catches for like 64 last week. So
You can go 40 yards in the
Jonnu
easy.
Smith.
but
His
I feel like
plus-
Coleman, I think, is going to see Ramsey a lot.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith's alt receptions. 1+ is -420 and 2+ is +102. So for him to catch
Oh.
2 balls is plus territory.
I don't hate that.
My God.
Yeah, I don't hate that either.
Yeah, let's go.
I smell the money being printed already.
All right.
Yeah, like the difference in odds between him catching 1 and 2 balls
And
is
2.
Absurd.
He must be their only tight end then.
Yeah.
He is.
So we're going to
Fuck
go
it.
2 balls for Jonnu?
Okay.
Bet you he does have 2 balls.
Well, you never
Do we
know.
know that for sure?
Somebody email him and ask him.
Let's look real quick just in
I can't believe we're putting
So-
Matt Collins and Jonnu Smith.
Whoa,
in
whoa, 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 whoa.
fucking
What was his
This is fucking degeneracy, my friend. These are the pits that you descend into.
hold on a second. So his +2 is 102, but his over is 102 as well. Okay, never mind. We're good.
I mean, and then you could just go with like passing TDs over unders. I mean, that's a pretty simple one
I think
just to throw in.
Tua could probably throw 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they're both at 1.5.
Saw it too is I know it's a little bit high, but the Bills don't really have anybody at corner,
Yeah.
and his over under on passing yards is 268. And I know that's high, but I can see that.
A lot of it could come on one play with fucking Tyreek, but
Well, that's you get 2
268
bombs
yards,
Tyreek. There's maybe like 140 yards, possibly like in 2 plays.
Can always do an alt with him
Just
on the
over,
passing yards. Like
just over 1 touchdown.
Tua.
For
like
one touchdown.
Tua at 250 is -192.
you would think he
That's
would
not
get at
bad.
least 250, yeah. I don't know what he had last week, and that was a low-scoring game, and
See,
he
okay,
didn't really do
before
much.
we go into the yardage, though, look what we just talked about how many teams were under 200 yards passing.
Yeah, no, but I feel like there's going to be like a reset in week 2. I kind of feel like
I don't
just
know if
might
it's
be-
going to I just don't feel like it's going to
Yeah,
be that
you're right.
quick.
It might not be. But
I feel like the Dolphins just might be the exception to the rule, just like we said, the sole fact of
Because Tyreek Hill.
because Tyreek.
Okay, so let's look.
I'm
If
pretty
we
sure
do
we all
the
have
225, it'll be a 10,000, a plus 10,000. If we do the 250, it'll be a plus 13,000.
Do 250.
All right. With my profit boost, I bet $2 and it wins me $395.
Well, congratulations on winning $397.
So we're just going with Tua on the 225 plus for Jesse's other leg.
Yeah, so two a 220 or 250. That's what Jace
250.
is saying. If we want to do 225, that's fine.
I think Jace already made 2 picks.
I was going to say, I had
That's
made
true.
the Matt Collins and the Johnny
but
Smith,
we-
and you guys are just putting in the Tua.
I
Matt
didn't
Col-
like we,
Matt
we were
Collins. I
sitting
see.
here. I thought we were just debating between 225 and 250. And if you're gonna do it, take the fucking odds and be a hero.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
thought
know.
you were choosing. I thought Jesse was choosing this last one, the 2 yardage. I thought that's
No.
what we were arguing
He's
over.
got the Jonnu Smith 2+ receptions and then hasn't made another leg.
Yeah. I thought that's what your second leg was. I apologize.
Oh, no, we can go with that. That's fine.
Do you want 250 or you want 225?
250.
All right, let's make it happen.
A dog.
All right, so yeah, with profit boost, $1 wins me $200, $2 wins me $400. All right, so let's go over it one more time. We got Shakir 41 yards receiving, basically. Josh Allen touchdown. Mac Hollins 2 receptions. Jalen Wright touchdown, which I actually like that one a lot. James Cook, 3 receptions. Josh Allen, 25 yards rushing. Jonnu Smith, 2 receptions. And then Tua plus 250 yards passing.
put
I actually
$6
feel
on it
really
with
fucking good about
profit
that one.
boost. I put $6 on it with a profit boost, and I will be $1,161 richer.
I have
by
$3 in
Friday.
$3 in the account, so that that is. I actually feel really, really fucking good about that one.
I'm putting my paycheck on it. I feel that.
So that's tough. You only got $3 in your account. That's down bad, you know.
You can go fuck yourself.
Hey, just a reminder of that time that we bet a touchdown score parlay last year, and then she
Yeah,
didn't
and
bet
I was in fucking Giant Eagle and couldn't make it in time.
I do remember that. That was great.
The only time last year we won one of those bets, and you didn't play.
And I made the bet every other week, and that was the one week I was in Giant Eagle and couldn't make the bet before 1:00.
Oh, it comes back around to you.
So the reality is, I just blame Mara. She probably sent me to the store for something, and right before football, and I just
Good
lost
chance.
$600. You know.
Yeah.
All right, I am saving
Thank
that photo right now of it with my increased odds on it. Of course, it brings it to 19,749 with my profit boost. ATR week 2 parlay. All right, got that. I actually really like that parlay. The more I'm looking at that, the more I really love it. So I'll post that up. I'll post our picks up. Kind of, go from there and see how this week will progress. I'm gonna lock that in for $2 for $3.95.
I got 6 on it.
All right, it is done. I have literally been surviving off my free spins and winning like 50 cents every now and then off of blackjack just so I can throw a non-sweat bet, and I have a $10 free bet on this Thursday game to try to get myself back into the game a little. So
Good luck. Maybe you
you.
should take one of my parlays.
Maybe you should actually send them to me instead of being a greedy little
I
butthole
sent you
pirate.
every single one on Friday, so you can fuck off.
Damn it, I didn't realize that.
Well, who would have bet on them because you suck at betting?
Yeah, you fuck.
Yeah, geez, I should get good. I only won like 4 out of 6 that
All
I
it
made.
took was me to call you out, and you just did it. See, that's what big brothers do, Carly.
Yeah.
We motivate in any means necessary.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right. So yeah, I'll post those all up for everybody, so we can have them there. Fantasy talk, I think, is basically where I want to end this. There's
Listen,
not a ton.
I'm going to bed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We have been
I think we
doing
need
this
to.
for, like,
We need to
nearly
do better
We-
about
our time
Not
management
running too long.
on the week review. So we're gonna call it there. We thank you all for joining us. All those that I think there might be one person still watching, 2 people still watching. One of them is me. So
The other one. Thank you, Andy.
you the man, Andy. We love you. We appreciate you. You are our lifeblood here at ATR. Guys, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for supporting us and listening. You can find us wherever you find your podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can find us directly off our webpage and on our Facebook. I'll post those links here shortly. Once again, for Jace Junk, Jesse Smith, and Carly Baden, I am Jesse Baden, your host. We thank you all for joining us at All the Rage Sports. And remember, always rage on.